Chapter 10:27. After Wang Kai and Ishu left together, the Dog King, who was guarding the entrance of the courtyard, slowly floated in through the black fog. What's going on? Shouldn't they have gone straight to the bed? Why did they go to the toilet? Or did they go together? Could it be that they are having a field battle? That can't be right. This can't be considered a field battle. The Dog King muttered to himself in surprise. He felt a chill in his heart. What kind of place was the toilet? In that kind of environment, what else could he do? Master's taste is so heavy. No, there must be something else. He, the Prince of Dogs, should learn from him. The Dog King thought for a while and followed them. When he was about 10 steps away from the toilet, the Dog King was stunned when he heard the sounds coming from the toilet. Yes, hold it properly. What are you shy about? You've seen and touched it. What's wrong? Do you think that Ben Sheo's isn't big enough? You're shameless. Don't move, you'll get me. Who's shameless? You're the one who admires Ben Shao too much and insisted on following him in. You even insisted on holding it for Ben Shao, okay? Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 8th level of the Sage Realm. You're not shameless? If you're not shameless, then why did it become bigger? God, don't touch me. We promised before, don't touch it. You bastard. Bang. Immediately, Ishu rushed out of the toilet amidst a series of shocked and angry cries. She quickly ran out. At the same time, she covered her extremely aggrieved face with one hand and her unbuttoned clothes with the other. Even when she was running away in a panic, she did not notice the Dog King's presence. Damn, what's going on? What has happened? The Prince of Dogs was actually ignored. The Dog King activated the fog and condensed the husky's face. It winked and stared at Ishu with a puzzled expression. It looked at Ishu, who ran away, and then at the toilet. Suddenly, it felt as if its head was twice the size of its head. Sigh. Looks like a woman's words really can't be trusted. How long has it been? He actually ran away. Wang Kai shook his head as he walked out. His expression was rather emotional as he smiled. However, what happened just now was really exciting. It was so exciting that he almost did Ishu on the spot. However, when he thought about it, the toilet was indeed not a good place. He might as well let her run away. Otherwise, it would be easy to take her down by force. Master, what did you do just now? Don't tell me they really did it here? The Dog King asked in astonishment. When Wang Kai heard this, he frowned and said casually, What do you mean by did it? Ben Shao just taught her some common sense. Otherwise, how would we do it with her in the future? Common sense? The Dog King was stunned. After thinking for a while, he suddenly realized something. He exclaimed, Don't tell me she hasn't even seen that thing before? She doesn't recognize it? Of course she does. It's just that Ben Sheo's thing is too big. It's so big that she's afraid. She doesn't know that this is only 1/10 of Ben Sheo's entire body. If he revealed all of it, I'm afraid he could destroy an entire mountain. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled proudly. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. It's as big as the invisible giant? Master, don't tell me you used your cultivation to forcefully make it bigger? The Dog King said, rather speechless. No matter how one looked at it, Wang Kai was just bragging. The invisible giant, damn. I forgot about him. When he heard that, Wang Kai was stunned. Only then did he remember that the invisible giant was still waiting outside the city due to his enormous size. Quickly find a servant from the Gu residence and go to the city to buy some good wine and food. Then find some people to build a luxurious residence for him outside the city. We will probably be leaving tomorrow, Wang Kai said with a calm expression as he shrugged. Woof, woof. Master, should we find some beauties and send them to him? The Prince of Dogs. I really want to see how he does it with a human beauty, the Dog King said with a soft laugh in anticipation. The corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitched slightly when he heard this. His heart was a little itchy after hearing the Dog King's words. But thinking about it carefully, if he really let the invisible giant and a human woman consummate their marriage, wouldn't it kill her? Forget about that. Hurry up and go. As night fell, an extremely awkward scene appeared in Wang Kai's room. Wang Kai lay quietly on the bed. Ishu sat quietly beside him. After the incident in the toilet, Ishu was already somewhat afraid of Wang Kai. She was afraid that Wang Kai would eat her up if she was not careful. What are you doing sitting there? Bin Xiao will have a hard time falling asleep like this. Okay? Furthermore, we didn't agree to stick together, Wang Kai said with a frown, feeling somewhat speechless. When she heard that, Ishu pursed her lips tightly. She hesitated for a long time, but could not make up her mind. She lay down beside Wang Kai. I'll just sit here. You can sleep, Ishu said with pursed lips. She gently moved her body closer to Wang Kai. How troublesome. Quickly come here. Bang. What are you doing? Let go of me. Suddenly, Wang Kai reached out and hugged Ishu horizontally. In the blink of an eye, his hands started to move up and down her body. No, let go of me. Bang. After struggling for a long time, when Wang Kai intentionally let go of her, Ishu broke through the door and ran away again. Furthermore, her clothes were much messier than they were in the day. It was as if she would be stripped naked at any time if this continued. What's going on? Why is it like this? What exactly happened? Is Master teaching her common sense again? The dog king, who was guarding the courtyard, saw that Ishu ignored him again. He covered his messy clothes and ran away quickly. For a moment, he was very confused. Iota Towery, go to the city tomorrow to buy some good wine and food for the invisible giant. We might not be able to leave tomorrow. Let's wait for a few more days. Whoosh! As Wang Kai's voice suddenly rang out, Ishu, who had run away, came back with a red face. Hey, what game are you and Master playing? Can you talk to the Prince of Dogs? The Dog King asked curiously. However, Ishu could not be bothered with the Dog King's question. She turned around and glared at him fiercely. Then, she walked into the room and gently closed the door. What are you doing? Don't forget our... No. Chapter 1028. The next morning, the Dog King controlled the black fog and circled around the courtyard. He glanced at Wang Kai's room from time to time. Seeing that there was still no sound, he waited helplessly. What are you doing? Didn't I give you that last night? Don't be so greedy. What do you mean, what am I doing? Don't you know that men are the most energetic in the morning? If you don't want to use your mouth, Bin Xiao can only do you. Don't touch me. I'll do it for you. I'll do it for you. Suddenly, Wang Kai and Ishu's quarrel came from the room. The Dog King, who was in the courtyard, naturally heard it clearly. In an instant, he understood what they were doing in the room. After all this time, you still can't take that woman down. So you've been using your mouth all this time. Master really knows how to have fun, the Dog King said in surprise. Poochie poochie sounds continued to be emitted from the room for over 2 hours before it finally came to a stop. At the same time, the door was pushed open by Ishu. She was covering her mouth, her face was red, and her eyes were filled with shame as she ran away. One could clearly see that there were drops of white liquid on her slender hands and the corner of her lips. Today's weather is really good. Wang Kai dressed neatly and slowly walked out of the room. He looked at the sky, took a deep breath, and stretched. His complexion was extremely good, and he was extremely satisfied. Master, is it really that comfortable to do it with your mouth? The Dog King asked in surprise. His voice was filled with desire. Hearing this, Wang Kai's mouth twitched. He said casually, Of course it's very satisfying. After you transform, you can find a beautiful woman to try it on. Transform. Master, then when will you reach the ancient sage realm? If your cultivation base is lower than Prince of Dogs, it will cause the Prince of Dogs' cultivation base to drop, the Dog King said helplessly. If he could transform, why would he have waited in the courtyard for the entire night? He was probably already in the city, looking for a few beauties to have some fun with. Now that he saw Wang Kai, he felt extremely comfortable, and he immediately panicked. It's just the ancient sage realm. If Bin Xiao wants to reach it, wouldn't it be an easy matter? In fact, it would be better to say that the current me is a million times more impressive than an ancient sage. They're not on the same level at all. Wang Kai shrugged and said with a disdainful smile, "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points." The Dog King was speechless. If Wang Kai was really that strong, he would have transformed a long time ago. Why would he hide in the black fog all this time? Can we leave this place and go to the Divine Stone Domain? Ishu, who had carefully washed up a few times, appeared in the courtyard with a red face. Her beautiful eyes were constantly avoiding eye contact. Once she thought of how Wang Kai had forced her to use her mouth, her heart was beating nonstop. She was extremely shy. Yes, Bin Xiao will use a teleportation technique later and forcefully bring that Gu Tianyun here. When the time comes, we will bring him to the Divine Stone Domain. Wang Kai shrugged and said with a faint smile. Although he knew about the Kunlun realm, he still did not know how to go there. Bringing Gu Tianyun, who knew formations and was very familiar with the Kunlun realm, was naturally the best choice. As for Guzhan, he was too old and his future was limited. Wang Kai really did not want to bring him along. After all, in Wang Kai's opinion, those who could follow him must have special strength. Although Gu Tianyun could not cultivate, with Wang Kai's help, whether or not he could was another matter. Teleportation technique? You also know about formations? Ishu asked in surprise. Her beautiful eyes flickered as she looked at Wang Kai. Her heart was filled with suspicion. He knew how to break formations. That was something she had seen with her own eyes. But to set up formations, Bin Xiao has already reached the pinnacle of formations. It's just that he's not willing to set up formations. As for the teleportation technique, it has nothing to do with formations. It's only a technique that Bin Xiao casually created. It's not worth mentioning. Wang Kai waved his hand and said with an extremely casual expression. It was as if anything that was terrifyingly strong was nothing to him. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 2,000 experience and 20 bragging points. What an insignificant teleportation technique. Regarding this, no matter if it was Ishu or the Dog King, they both felt extremely speechless. Naturally, they could tell that Wang Kai was definitely bragging again. Little friend Wang, I'm afraid that I'll have to disappoint you. Gu Tianyun won't be able to return. Suddenly, just as Wang Kai was preparing to use his cultivation to capture Gu Tianyun, Gu Zhan's figure appeared in the courtyard. Furthermore, his words caused Wang Kai to narrow his eyes. A cold glint appeared in the depths of his eyes. Woof, woof, woof. Old thing, you must have done something in the dark, right? Last night, you sent a message to your son, telling him not to return, right? You're truly not afraid of death. The Dog King sneered in disdain. Regarding this, Ishu also helplessly shook her head. After indifferently glancing at Guzhan, she did not say anything. In her opinion, Guzhan was most likely going to die. No. Little friend Wang, don't misunderstand. It's not that the old man did not ask Gu Tianyun to return. It's that the central region did not allow him to return. Moreover, the old man has already told you everything. Since that's the case, what's there to be afraid of? Guzhan waved his hand and hurriedly explained. Hearing this, Wang Kai frowned slightly. Indeed, what Guzhan said was very reasonable. The old man had already told him everything about the Kunlun's field. Since that was the case, even if he met Gu Tianyun, nothing would happen. Moreover, Wang Kai did not discover anything strange last night. If Guzhan had really secretly sent a message, it would have definitely been discovered. What's going on? Why did the central region not allow him to return? Didn't they say that he would arrive in 3 days? Wang Kai furrowed his brows and asked with a puzzled expression. Hearing this, Guzhan shook his head slightly and sighed. Little friend, you might not know. Although Gu Tianyun's way of formations is very powerful in the 100 formation region and has reached a level where no one can match him, he is ultimately unable to cultivate. Even if he has a foothold in the central region, he will not be able to guarantee his freedom. Woof, woof, woof. Kidnapped? Fuck, you should have said so earlier. With Master and the Prince of Dogs around, Won't a mere central region be easily overturned? The Dog King said disdainfully. Hearing this, Gu Zhen's face stiffened. He could only smile awkwardly. Naturally, he did not believe that they had such ability. Chapter 10:29. What's wrong? You don't seem to believe me? Haha, I'm not afraid to tell you that I only need to wave my hand, and your good son, Gu Tianyun, will be captured here. Wang Kai had his hands behind his back. His expression was rather indifferent as he smiled and said, "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points." Whoosh! Hearing the notification, Wang Kai's face slightly changed. He never thought that he would be judged as bragging by the system. If that was the case, then with his current ability, he really wouldn't be able to capture Gu Tianyun from the central region. No. My friend, you have great power. The old man naturally believes you. However, I don't know what happened to Gu Tianyun. If I take him without permission, I hope my friend can be magnanimous. Even though he knew that Wang Kai was bragging, Gu Zhen did not expose him. Instead, he flattered Wang Kai and gave him a way out. Wang Kai was satisfied with this. He nodded and said calmly, "Fine. In this case, Ben Shao will not insist on your son, Gu Tianyun. However, it's a pity that a strong person like Ben Shao, who is bound to dominate the chaotic world, has the intention to bring someone to the supreme honorable realm. There are very few opportunities. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 9th grade Sage Realm. Host, Wang Kai Occupation, Chaotic Martial Artist, Formation Breaking Master Realm. Sage, 9th grade Cultivation Method, Saint Daluo Diamond Body, Chaotic Million Formation Image Martial Skill, Saint Void Hand, Array Breaking Technique Equipment, Saint Chaos Heaven Swallowing Halberd the Power of God, Level 5 Eye Technique, Saint Torch Dragon's Eye Bragging Points, 300 Experience. 020000. After hearing the notification and seeing the system page, Wang Kai was stunned. My experience points have increased to 20,000? Moreover, there should have been an extra 1,000 bragging points. Why wasn't it recorded? Do you really need to brag 10 times about breaking through to the next realm? Wang Kai's face darkened as he unhappily urged his mind to speak. Host, your bragging reward has increased after you reach the 9th grade Sage Realm. Hearing this, Wang Kai frowned and couldn't help but touch his nose. He tentatively said, "This young master has had a woman when he was 1, 10 when he was 2, and 100 when he was 3. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 20,000 experience points and 200 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 1st grade Sage Realm. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through. God Protection Power has been upgraded to level 6. Host, Wang Kai Occupation, Chaotic Martial Artist, Formation Breaking Master Realm, Ancient Sage First Class Cultivation Technique, Sage Daluo Vajra Body, Chaotic Myriad Formation Portrait Martial Skill, Saint Void Hand, Array Breaking Technique Equipment, Saint Chaos Heaven Swallowing Halberd the Power of God, Level 5 Eye Technique, Saint Torch Dragon's Eye Bragging Points, 500 Experience. 020000 buzz. As the notifications rang out one after another, before Wang Kai could react, he saw the black fog beside him suddenly disperse, and within it a black and white husky appeared. You're really a F***king husky. The corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitched when he saw this. He was speechless as he stared at the Dog King, who seemed to be in a state of rage. Woof, woof, woof. F***ck. Master, you're too awesome. You've reached the ancient sage state so quickly. The King of Dogs wagged his tail and exclaimed in shock. Swoosh! The ancient sage realm. The true spirit of heaven and earth had successfully transformed. Ishu and Gu Zhen by the side were extremely shocked when they heard this. An 18-year-old sage of the ancients. Even in the central region, he would be one of the top experts. No matter if it was the younger generation or the older generation, no one could match him. They were not on the same level. In terms of ranking, even if Wang Kai's current cultivation level was not enough to rank him first, his potential and talent were definitely the best among all the participants. His strength could also be ranked in the top 3. Gu Zhen swallowed his saliva and asked in a trembling voice, "Wang, my young friend Wang, are you going to the Central Region in the future?" At this moment, Gu Zhen was truly regretting. If Gu Tianyun really came back and followed Wang Kai, then wouldn't his future be limitless? If he had taken the opportunity to ask Wang Kai to take Gu Tianyun back by force, in short, he was really regretful now. At the same time, Yishu was also filled with thoughts. She suddenly felt that if something happened between her and Wang Kai, it was not something to be angry about. Rather, if something happened between her and Wang Kai, it would directly lead to the Yi family's branch becoming the dominant one. Moreover, it would be an absolute dominant one, and it could even enter the Central Region. Although this was a selfish thought, it was better than being taken advantage of by Wang Kai. Of course, I will go. Once Ben Shao arrives in the Central Region, the chaotic realm will be Ben Shao's world. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled calmly. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 20,000 experience points and 200 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the second rank Ancient Sage Realm. Plop. Hearing that, Gu Zhen knelt on the ground and asked, "If young Master Wang arrives in the Central Region, I hope you can promote my son Tianyan." This old man will be very grateful. "Tis TSK. You didn't believe me just now? Now that my master has reached the Ancient Sage Realm, you want to curry favor with him? F***CK. Aren't you shameless?" The Dog King said disdainfully, baring his teeth. When these words were spoken, not to mention Gu Zhen, even Yishu, who had such intentions, involuntarily blushed. In order to hide her embarrassment, she could only turn around. "Young Master Wang, my son Tianyan not only knows how to go to Kunlun's field, but he also has the ability to open the door to Kunlun's field. He has entered it once before." Suddenly, Gu Zhen's words caught Wang Kai's attention. "You didn't tell Ben Shao about this before." Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled mockingly. If he hadn't reached the Ancient Sage Realm, he wouldn't have heard such words. It seemed that Gu Zhen wasn't a fool. Even under the threat of death, he still had some tricks up his sleeve. "Please forgive me, young Master Wang. If I tell him, I'm afraid Tianyan's life will be in danger. However, with young Master Wang's support and protection, no one in the Central Region will dare to hurt him." Gu Zhen said, cupping his fists. "Well, you're right. Although Ben Shao's current strength isn't the strongest in the Central Region, everyone is wary of him. Moreover, it's easy for Ben Shao to become supreme in the Central Region." Wang Kai shrugged and smiled proudly. "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 20,000 experience points and 200 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the third rank Ancient Sage Realm." Chapter 10:30. Woof, woof, woof. "Master, aren't you too easy to talk to? You are helping him even with this?" The Dog King shook his head, feeling speechless. At first, he thought the same as Yishu, believing that Wang Kai would kill Gu Zhen. However, not only was Gu Zhen not killed, but he even wanted to promote his son. What kind of place was the Kunlun realm? To think that Wang Kai would care so much about it. "What the hell do you know?" Wang Kai shrugged in disdain. Then, he turned to look at Gu Zhen and said indifferently, "Don't worry. When Ben Shao reaches the Central Region, he will promote your son." Whoosh! Right after Wang Kai spoke, before Gu Zhen could thank him, Wang Kai waved his hand and picked up Yishu. Then, he disappeared from the Gu residence's courtyard with the Dog King. Heavens! I did not even tell him where Tianyun is. How is he going to promote Tianyun? Could it be that he is toying with me? Gu Zhen suddenly raised his head and looked at the empty courtyard. Regret and regret filled his face. Gu Zhen did not know that it was very easy for Wang Kai to find someone. Outside the city, the invisible giant lay on a large wooden bed. He held a whole pig in one hand and a whole goat in the other. There was a pile of bones and a wooden barrel filled with wine beside him. He ate and drank to his heart's content. "Master, you are back? Are we leaving?" The invisible giant quickly stood up when he saw the situation. Then he tossed the pig and goat far away. Iota Towery, I did not expect you to be so considerate," Wang Kai said speechlessly as he rubbed his nose. "Of course. After all, he is the brother of the Prince of Dogs." Bang! The Dog King leaped up and landed on the invisible giant's shoulder. Then he raised his head and snorted proudly. Regarding this, Wang Kai was also quite surprised. He did not know when these two guys had established a friendship and actually became brothers. Perhaps it would be a good thing to have a comrade by his side, right? Let's go. Let's go to the 100 Formation City of the 100 Formation region first. From there, we'll be teleported to the Divine Stone territory. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled indifferently. As soon as his voice fell, Wang Kai also sat on the other shoulder of the invisible giant. Master, you've done well. I've now reached the Sage Realm. Wang, upon hearing the invisible giant's words, before Wang Kai and the others could react, they saw the invisible giant's figure move. In an instant, he had already dashed out tens of thousands of miles. At this rate, it would take at most an hour to reach 100 Array City. The Sage Realm? Dog King, you forcefully raised his cultivation level? Wang Kai frowned and asked in surprise. In response, the Dog King nodded. Lying on the invisible giant's shoulder, he said, "That's what he requested. If he wasn't strong enough, he wouldn't be able to help you at all." So, sigh. No wonder he's the Prince of Dogs' brother. Hearing this, Wang Kai was stunned. He did not expect the invisible giant to give up his potential to advance further in order to help him. Is there any way to raise his potential again? Wang Kai frowned and secretly used his mind to communicate with the system. If possible, he naturally did not want the invisible giant to lose his potential. After all, he was different from the Grand Elder and Black Shadow of the Xianling School. Host, once you reach the Great Sage Realm, you can change anyone's fate. Hearing this, Wang Kai squinted his eyes. The Great Sage Realm. I'm only at the Ancient Sage Realm now. If I want to reach the Great Sage Realm, based on the experience gained from bragging, it should be a piece of cake. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled playfully. Congratulations to the host for bragging successfully. You've received 20,000 experience and 200 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 4th rank Ancient Sage Realm. Hearing this, Wang Kai pursed his lips. Now he only needed to brag once, and he could break through to the next rank. If he wanted to reach the Great Sage Realm, he only needed to brag 5 or 6 times. Sigh, there's no point in being too strong. Ben Shao really wants to transform into a mortal now and go to the mortal world to have fun. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled playfully. Congratulations to the host for bragging successfully. You've received 20,000 experience and 200 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 5th rank Ancient Sage Realm. Woof, woof, woof. Master, that's a good idea. I heard that the women in the mortal world are very interesting. Moreover, there's a group of weak mortals who are scheming against each other. If there's a chance, the Prince of Dogs would also like to have some fun. Hee. The Dog King smiled and looked forward to it. Wang Kai was very surprised. He did not expect the Dog King to be so interested. However, if he really had the time to travel to the mortal world, he could pretend to be immortal and experience a different kind of fun again. It would not be bad. You've done a lot of harm in the world of cultivation. You still want to harm mortal women in the mortal world? You're really a dog who bullies others because of its master's power. Ishu could not bear to listen anymore and directly sneered. Ishu did not want to bother with them. However, after listening to Wang Kai's plan to harm people in the mortal world, she did not know why, but she suddenly felt a little conflicted. TSK. Master, it seems that she's jealous. The Dog King laughed disdainfully. Jealous? Hearing this, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows slightly. With a rather casual expression, he smiled and said, "Of course, this young master is too charming, and his charm is too outstanding." Naturally, It will cause countless beauties to crazily yearn for and pursue me. Congratulations to the host for bragging successfully. You've received 20,000 experience and 200 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 6th rank Ancient Sage Realm. 6th rank Ancient Sage Realm. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled faintly. That's why Ishu can't resist Ben Sheo's endless charm. After drinking milk, she still wants more. Ha ha! Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging successfully. You've received 20,000 experience and 200 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 7th rank Ancient Sage Realm. You bastard! Ishu's pretty face instantly turned red. In her mind, she immediately recalled the previous scenes. No matter if it was night or morning, she was forcefully threatened by him, and he used his mouth on her. Aren't bastards eggs? Moreover, last night and this morning, didn't you eat Bensheo's eggs? The taste must be very delicious, right? You must know that countless people want to eat it, but Benshao won't let them eat it. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled faintly. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging successfully. You've received 20,000 experience and 200 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 8th rank Ancient Sage Realm. Chapter 1031. You, how can you be so shameless? Can't you do it behind my back? Ishu flew into a rage out of humiliation. She could not hold it in any longer. She waved her slender hand and sent an extremely ferocious chaotic energy towards Wang Kai. The green chaotic energy was like a chain. Finally, it condensed into a long green sword. It pierced towards Wang Kai's head accurately. Woof, woof, woof. With the Prince of Dogs around, is there a need for Master to do it personally? Buzz. Bang. The Dog King snorted disdainfully. He did not even move his body. He only shook his tail slightly, and the long green sword disappeared on the spot. From the beginning to the end, it looked very smooth and effortless. It was as easy as scratching an itch. Stupid dog. Sooner or later, I will stew you in his soup. Ishu snorted angrily. It could be said that she did not expect to successfully hit Wang Kai with that attack. After all, Wang Kai's cultivation was that of an ancient sage. He was many times stronger than the Dog King. It could be said that the Dog King was at the peak of the 9th grade sage realm. He could not be compared to Wang Kai at all. The difference was huge. She cursed the Dog King in such a way to find a way out of this embarrassing situation. She could not be indifferent after being molested by Wang Kai, right? TSK. Women are really hot-tempered. Last night and this morning, you were eating so happily. You even used your small hands to rub Bensheo's balls. Wang Kai squinted his eyes and said with a lecherous smile. As he spoke, the thought of doing it again appeared in his mind. If it wasn't for the fact that they were in a hurry, they would have taken action and brought Ishu to a secluded and uninhabited place to have some fun. You, haha, I don't remember such a thing. Whether it was last night or this morning, nothing happened between the two of us. Those are all your misconceptions. Ishu's beautiful eyes narrowed. She then forced a smile and turned her head away. Since she could not win against Wang Kai in an argument or a fight, the only thing she could do was to deny it. By denying it, she would let him say whatever he wanted. Woof, woof, woof. Oomph. The Prince of Dogs does not know what happened between you and Master last night. However, this morning, the Prince of Dogs clearly saw and heard you and Master arguing about this. Moreover, you have something in your mouth. What is that? You don't need the Prince of Dogs to tell you what it is. The Dog King snorted. You, stupid dog, you're courting death. Ishu was instantly enraged. She stood up and wanted to fight the Dog King to the death. Seeing this scene, the Dog King's eyes widened. He groaned and turned his head away, not daring to say anything else. Although he had been arguing with Ishu, he did not dare to fight with her. After all, based on the relationship between Ishu and Wang Kai, she would become the Dog King's mistress sooner or later. If he went overboard, wouldn't he be looking for trouble in the future? Oomph. You also have times when you're afraid? Ishu frowned as she spoke with an icy expression. The repeated provocations had already caused her heart to be unable to take it. Ishu was really angry now. It was as if she could kill someone at any time. Because of this, the Dog King became obedient. Otherwise, based on his usual behavior, he would have already started yelling at her. Haha, Iota Towery, you're very wise. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled playfully. Naturally, he could tell why the Dog King chose to remain silent. Otherwise, he would have already rebelled. That's because the Prince of Dogs is smart. He knows what to do and when to do it. Isn't that right, big guy? The Dog King snorted proudly. Brother Tai is right. Brother Tai is much smarter than me. It's just that you're too small. Let's call you Shorty from now on. The invisible giant grinned and said in a muffled voice, Shorty, big guy, are you praising the Prince of Dogs or belittling the Prince of Dogs? The Dog King was speechless. Both. The invisible giant was very smart. He didn't want to offend the Dog King and Ishu. If he followed the Dog King's words, he would undoubtedly provoke Ishu. Wouldn't that be a loss? Master, there seems to be no path ahead. It's all fire. Suddenly, the invisible giant stopped and looked at the sea of fire in front of him. He felt very hot and dry and wanted to leave this place. It's all fire? Hearing this, Wang Kai's eyes narrowed slightly. He could not help but raise his head to look. What entered his eyes was a raging blood-red flame. It spread out for tens of thousands of miles. If not for the fact that Wang Kai was now an ancient sage, he wouldn't have been able to see the end. How is this possible? Didn't the Sea of Fire move to the Divine Stone territory? Why is it in the 100 Formations territory? Ishu exclaimed. Her delicate body moved, and she stepped into the air and went straight into the Sea of Fire. Woof, woof, woof. Master, what's going on? The Prince of Dogs didn't sense the aura of the fire Shun Yuan's spirit in the Sea of Fire. The Dog King stared and said with his head tilted. Wang Kai frowned slightly. He also didn't sense the presence of any experts in the Sea of Fire. It could be said that there was no aura in it. Master, Missy has already gone in. Should we go in too? The invisible giant asked in a trembling voice. His tone was full of resistance. It was as if he was afraid of fire. Regarding this, Wang Kai was rather surprised. He never thought that the dignified invisible giant would actually be afraid of fire. The big guy's invisibility ability is useless in the Sea of Fire. No matter how invisible he is, he will be burned by the fire. Master, the Prince of Dogs will stay here. You should go in and take a look. The Dog King grinned. Hearing this, Wang Kai shrugged and looked at Ishu, who had already run into the Sea of Fire. With a tap of his foot, he arrived in front of her in an instant. Wait, why are you in such a hurry? Ben Shao didn't sense the aura of any living creatures in there. The Sea of Fire should be in the Divine Stone territory, but now it has appeared in the 100 Formations territory and is blocking our way to the 100 Formations territory. There must be something wrong. Let's wait and see. Wang Kai waved his hand and said indifferently, Impossible. This is indeed the Sea of Fire. There's no mistake. Something must have happened. Move aside and let me in. Ishu frowned and shouted in a deep voice. Wang Kai glanced at her indifferently and ignored her. Instead, he waved his hand and sent out a strand of chaotic force. It condensed into chains and bound her to the spot. Chapter 1032. Why are you in such a hurry? Ben Shao will make his own decisions. Just watch from the side. Wang Kai frowned and said impatiently. The Sea of Fire had suddenly appeared in the 100 Formations territory and blocked their way. Who would believe that it was not strange? This is really the Sea of Fire. I can't be wrong. Let me go and let me in, okay? Ishu stared at Wang Kai and begged. If Wang Kai continued to make things difficult for her, Ishu would not be able to break free. Now, she could only beg him to let her go. In response, Wang Kai curled his lips and waved his hand to seal her mouth. He couldn't be bothered to look at her angry eyes. What's going on with this Sea of Fire? Is there a fire, Shun Yuan's spirit inside? Wang Kai frowned and secretly asked. Since he could not detect anything strange, he could only rely on the system. Host, this is not the Sea of Fire. Host, the Fire Xingyuan spirit does not exist inside. Host, this Sea of Fire is caused by a formation. The person who set up the formation is watching from the other side of the Sea of Fire. Host, a total of 300 bragging points have been consumed. Host, Wang Kai occupation, chaotic warrior, formation breaker realm. Ancient Sage 8th grade cultivation technique. Sage Daluo diamond body. Chaotic million formation image martial skill. Saint Void hand. Array breaking technique equipment. Sage Chaos heaven swallowing halberd the power of God. Level 5 eye technique. Sage Torch dragons eye bragging points. 1600 experience. 020000 hearing the continuous notifications. Wang Kai's mouth twitched violently. He could not help but glance at the system page. When he found that he still had 1,600 bragging points, he secretly sighed in relief. Formation F*CK, your grandpa. No wonder Ben Xiao could not see anything strange. Wang Kai frowned and said speechlessly. If it was in the past, he would have been able to completely disregard formations and restrictions. But now, he had lost that ability. The upgrade of the system did not bring much benefit, but it increased the difficulty for him. Primal Chaos Million Formation Portrait. Wang. Suddenly, Wang Kai squinted his eyes and shouted softly. A rectangular formation map appeared above his head. Within the formation diagram, there were countless formations drawn. They were large and small, and they were densely packed together. There was even a mysterious airflow flowing around them. Its power was not obvious, but it was extremely oppressive. Woo woo woo, woo woo woo. Seeing this scene, Ishu suddenly turned pale with fright. However, she couldn't speak or move her body. She could only sob and glare angrily at Wang Kai. She naturally wouldn't believe Wang Kai's nonsense. This was indeed the Sea of Fire, and it was impossible for it to be in array formation. It wasn't that she had never seen an array formation master before, but Ishu didn't believe that they could set up the same array formation as the one in the Sea of Fire. Even in the central region, it was impossible for there to be an array formation master with such high attainments. If Wang Kai really destroyed the array formation, wouldn't the Sea of Fire be doomed to be destroyed? However, no matter how much Ishu glared at him, Wang Kai had no intention of paying attention to her. This made her even more anxious, and she wished she could tear Wang Kai apart. Break the array formation with order. Break. Wang. Rumble. Rumble. Whoosh. In an instant, with Wang Kai's shout, the chaotic million formation map could be clearly seen floating in the air. When it floated above the Sea of Fire, it became extremely huge. It was so huge that it covered the entire Sea of Fire. However, this was far from over. It was accompanied by an earth-shattering explosion. In an instant, the Sea of Fire was completely destroyed and disappeared without a trace. At the same time, the chaotic million formation map became smaller and floated back above Wang Kai's head, where it floated there quietly. Now you know, this is a damned array formation. Wang Kai shrugged and said helplessly. With a wave of his hand, he released the bound Ishu. Whoosh! After being released, Ishu stared blankly at the Sea of Fire that had disappeared and said in a daze, You actually destroyed the Sea of Fire. When he heard this, Wang Kai's face darkened. He could not help but raise his hand and slap her buttocks. Destroying the Sea of Fire? This is a damned array formation. Do you understand array formation? Look over there. Isn't there an idiot looking for death looking at us? Wang Kai said rather speechlessly. He raised his hand and pointed at a figure on a hill. Standing on the hill was a middle-aged man in a blue Taoist robe. He had a mustache and red phoenix eyes. He held a horsetail whisk in his hand, and his smile was extremely wretched. Is this really a array formation? Ishu blushed as she felt the burning sensation on her buttocks. She had already cursed Wang Kai thousands of times in her heart. Wang Kai was helpless about this. He had to admit that this middle-aged Taoist attainment in array formations was really terrifying. He was actually able to set up a region so similar to the real world. Ishu, who had grown up in the Sea of Fire since she was young, believed it to be real. This showed how powerful he was. Little brat, what are you still looking at? Don't you know that you should get over here and accept your death? CKU. You even dare to fool Ben Shao? Wang Kai frowned and snorted in annoyance. Whoosh. Hearing this, the middle-aged Taoist with a mustache and red phoenix eyes waved his horsetail whisk and smiled faintly. I heard that Gu Zhen was defeated at the border, so I came over to take a look. I didn't expect that there would really be an array-breaking master in the chaotic realm. Have you just been exiled from Kunlun's field? Exiled? Kunlun's field? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes. After all this time, it turned out that he was an array formation master related to Gu Zhen. Humph, it's just Kunlun's field. It's just a place that Ben Shao occasionally uses as a toilet. Wang Kai shrugged and snorted with disdain. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 20,000 experience and 200 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 9th grade Ancient Sage Realm. Host, Wang Kai occupation, Chaotic Warrior, Array, Breaking Master Realm. Ancient Sage 9th grade cultivation technique. Saint Daluo Vajrabadi, Chaotic Thousand Formation Image Martial Skill. Saint Void Hand, Array Breaking Technique Equipment. Saint Chaos, Sky Swallowing Halberd the Power of God. Level 5 Eye Technique. Saint Torch Dragons, Eye Bragging Points. 1800 Experience. 09000. Hearing the notification, Wang Kai's expression suddenly froze. Looking at the information on the system page, his heart began to beat rapidly. My experience points have increased to 90,000? From 20,000 to 90,000? CK. Do you have to be so ruthless? Wang Kai's face darkened, and he was speechless. Originally, he could have broken through to the next realm by bragging once. Now, he had to brag at least 5 times before he could reach the Great Sage Realm. Moreover, Wang Kai was very clear that there was definitely a higher realm above the Great Sage Realm. After all, there was Kunlun's field, which had evolved the chaotic realm and used it as a prison. Presumably, that place must be the core of the entire universe. Chapter 1033. Haha, my young friend, you're really humorous. Hearing Wang Kai's boasting, the middle-aged Taoist shook his head with a smile. Naturally, he didn't believe it. Moreover, he was even more certain that Wang Kai was the bastard who had just been exiled from Kunlun's field. Otherwise, why would he call Kunlun's field a toilet? A squatting place? There was obviously resentment in his words. However, since Wang Kai wasn't willing to say it out loud, the middle-aged Taoist wouldn't ask any further. It was enough to know. Little did he know that the middle-aged Taoist guess was completely wrong. All right, stop blabbering over there. Since you're a formation master, hurry up and set up a formation to send us all to 100 Formation City. Ben Shao is in a hurry, Wang Kai said impatiently, frowning. Buzz. The middle-aged Taoist didn't refuse at all. Instead, he set up a teleportation formation in advance. He turned sideways and gestured with his hand. Rings of light blue light appeared from the ground. You've set up the formation? You have a bright future ahead of you. Wang Kai squinted at the octagonal formation on the ground. He couldn't help but be amazed. First, he stopped him here. Then, he set up a teleportation formation in advance. Was there such a good thing in the world? Haha, my young friend, we're kindred spirits. You're also the first person to be exiled from Kunlun's field in 10,000 years. Naturally, we have to take care of each other. The middle-aged Taoist smiled faintly. His expression revealed friendliness. Hearing this, Wang Kai's mouth twitched. Kindred spirits? The first person to be exiled in 10,000 years. It seemed that this middle-aged Taoist had a deep misunderstanding. However, with the help of such a formation master, Wang Kai saved a lot of trouble. At least, he didn't have to send the invisible giant to 100 Formation City. This old Taoist attainments and formations are already so high. I wonder how strong Gu Zhen's son, Gu Tianyun, who is known as the invincible formation master of the 100 Formations domain, is. If I meet him in the future, I'll have to be more careful. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and thought to himself, wait, are you going to believe him so easily? Just as Wang Kai was about to summon the invisible giant and the Dog King to the teleportation portal, Ishu's figure flashed and blocked Wang Kai's path. In response, the middle-aged Taoist in the distance faintly smiled and did not say anything. Instead, he waited there silently. What? Would he dare to lie to Ben Xiao? Wang Kai frowned and said rather speechlessly, don't forget, a formation master can teleport any expert to the end of the continent. Even if you're an ancient sage, you won't be able to change anything, unless you're a formation master and can see the path of this teleportation portal. Ishu said in a low voice. Hearing this, Wang Kai's eyes narrowed slightly. He knew a little about formations, but his attainments were definitely not as high as this middle-aged Taoist's. Since his attainments were not as high as his, he would not be able to see the path of the teleportation portal. Sigh, if only Ben Xiao could still ignore the restrictions of the formation. Then, we wouldn't have to go through so much trouble. Can I help Ben Xiao take a look at this teleportation portal and see if there's anything strange about it? Helpless, Wang Kai could only communicate with the system. Formations could be cultivated at any time, and he could even surpass this middle-aged Taoist. However, Wang Kai did not want to cultivate them. After all, it required bragging points. Now that he was about to reach the Great Sage Realm, he might not even have enough to upgrade all his equipment. How could he waste them? Host, the destination of this teleportation portal is the 100 Formation Domain's 100 Formation City. 100 bragging points have been consumed. Wang Kai casually shrugged when he heard the notification. His expression was rather indifferent as he smiled and said, this young master has already checked. This teleportation array does not pose any threat, and the destination is indeed 100 Array City. Don't worry, this young master's mastery of formations is unmatched. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 20,000 experience points and 200 bragging points. Have you checked it? Ishu's beautiful eyes were stunned when she heard this. Wang Kai didn't even do anything to check the place. He just casually glanced over there, and he could see through the mystery. My young friend, you're indeed amazing. No wonder you were exiled from the Kunlun realm. As a formation master, you actually know how to set up formations. The middle-aged Taoist suddenly smiled faintly as his eyes flashed. F*CK off. Ben Xiao has already said that the Kunlun realm does not have the ability to deal with Ben Xiao. Ben Xiao came to the chaotic realm based on his own wishes. Wang Kai frowned and snorted impatiently. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 20,000 experience points and 200 bragging points. Oh, my young friend, you're right. This humble Taoist has misspoken. Naturally, the middle-aged Taoist did not believe him. He still believed in his own guess and was sure that Wang Kai had just been exiled. This old Taoist is a King Bull's nose. Look at him. No matter what Ben Xiao says, he still thinks that I was exiled from the Kunlun realm. Wang Kai's face darkened. He was speechless. Let's use another method. What are you doing? Put me down. Suddenly, before Ishu could finish speaking, Wang Kai carried her in his arms. At the same time, his hands started to grope her all over the place, causing her to gasp for breath repeatedly while feeling extreme embarrassment and indignation. Big guy, Iota Towery, let's go. Wang Kai smiled faintly. Woof, woof, woof. The Prince of Dogs is here. Bang, bang, bang. Then, the invisible giant ran over with the Dog King on its back, accompanied by a series of violent footsteps. Can't he shrink a little? He's so huge. I'm afraid he can't fit into the teleportation formation. If he tries to force his way in, he won't be able to reach the 100 Formation City. Seeing this, the middle-aged Taoist said awkwardly, Shrink? Hearing this, Wang Kai frowned. For a moment, he was confused. He couldn't help but ask, Big guy, can you shrink? Yes, I can. After reaching the Sage Plane, I can freely change my size. It's just that shrinking will consume a lot of stamina and power. The invisible giant scratched his head and laughed. Buzz. As he spoke, the invisible giant's body had shrunk from a giant to the same height as a normal human. Is it okay now? Wang Kai frowned and smiled faintly. Of course. Everyone please. The middle-aged Taoist waved his horsetail whisk and chuckled. Wang Kai, you bastard. I told you not to trust others so easily, but you didn't. Ishu gritted her teeth and scolded angrily. The formation master's methods were too strange. It could be seen from Wang Kai's inability to see through the sea of fire. Woof, woof, woof. Don't worry, the Prince of Dogs is watching. If this old man dares to act tough, the Prince of Dogs will bite off his manhood. The Dog King barked threateningly. Hearing this, the middle-aged Taoist felt a chill in his crotch. He was inexplicably afraid of the Dog King. Thank you, fellow Taoists, for your tips. Are you giving me dog food during the New Year? Ha! I wish everyone a happy New Year and all the best. Chapter 1034. Hunter Formation City. In the blink of an eye, Wang Kai and the rest appeared outside the city gates. With regard to this, Wang Kai's heart was itching. If he could learn the Tao of formations, wouldn't he be able to go anywhere in the continent? In an instant. Looks like Ben Xiao has to learn the way of formation when he has time. Wang Kai shrugged and thought to himself, with the system, it wouldn't be too difficult to become a powerful formation master. My friend, the fire Xingyuan spirit has indeed moved the fire Xingyuan spirit to the stone realm. However, it's not a place that anyone can enter unless the Great Sage comes personally. It's a pity that the Great Sage realm only exists in the central region. Moreover, it won't appear easily. Outside the city gates, the middle-aged Taoist stroked his mustache and reminded Lin Huang kindly. What he meant was that he didn't want Wang Kai to take the risk and enter the fire region. After all, the fire Xingyuan spirit was at the peak of the 9th grade ancient sage realm. Only the Great Sage realm could suppress it. After all, the fire Xingyuan spirit's combat power was many times stronger than a human martial artist of the same realm. Hearing this, Wang Kai frowned slightly. After thinking for a while, he smiled faintly and said, "It's just the Great Sage realm. If Ben Xiao wants to reach it, all he needs is a breath. Even if he can't reach it, he's much more powerful than the Great Sage." Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 20,000 experience and 200 bragging points. Hearing this, the middle-aged Taoist was embarrassed. He didn't expect the young man who had just been exiled from the Kunlun's field to be so arrogant. However, the middle-aged Taoist knew that for Wang Kai to have such achievements at such a young age, he must be a genius that only appeared in the Kunlun's field. None of the geniuses in the Middle District were as powerful as Wang Kai. Of course, he was talking about potential and future prospects. If you insist on going, can you wait for 3 days? I'll gather the other 9 formation masters and combine them with the attainments of the 10 formation masters to help you. The middle-aged Taoist said calmly. 10 array masters joining forces to help? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes when he heard that. It was strange. Why did this old Taoist want to help him so much? Not only did he come out to welcome him with a teleportation array, but now that he heard that he was going to the Sea of Fire, he even wanted to help him? He didn't hesitate to gather all the array masters. Let's not talk about why you want to help Ben Xiao for now. Let's talk about whether you have the ability to resist the fire Xingyuan spirit. Ben Xiao, I heard that the array masters in the central region seem to be more powerful, right? Wang Kai asked with a frown. The middle-aged Taoist was helpless. He did not expect that he would be suspected when he offered to help. This was because Wang Kai was the first person to be exiled from Kunlun's field in 10,000 years. If it were anyone else, it would be strange if they would help. Of course, although there are many formation masters with great attainments in the central region, if the 10 formation masters join forces, they will be ranked second in the chaotic realm. This is the main reason why the central region values the 100 formation region so much, the middle-aged Taoist explained patiently. The 10 formation masters joining forces could be ranked second in the chaotic realm. So powerful? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes when he heard that. He touched his nose and asked curiously, "Who is the first?" Is it Gu Zhan's son, Gu Tianyin? Of course not. He is only ranked third. The middle-aged Taoist shook his head and said, in terms of individual attainments in the Array Masters, he is ranked second. If the 10 of us join forces, he'll be ranked third. As for the first person, he is known as the Array Saint. He is a Great Sage Realm Array Master. A Great Sage Realm Array Master. As soon as these words came out, Wang Kai's expression suddenly froze. No wonder he could be ranked first in the entire Chaos world. After all this time, he was actually a powerhouse of the Great Saint stage. Needless to say, with a Great Sage Realm Array Master and attainments in the Array Master, how could they be weak when they joined forces? Take the middle-aged Taoist in front of him as an example. He was just a Sage Realm Array Master. He was not even as good as him. As for Gu Zhan, he was ranked last among the 10 Formation Masters. His martial attainment was pitifully weak. What is your ranking among the 10 Formation Masters? Wang Kai frowned and asked curiously. 6th. The top 5 are all in the ancient Sage realm, the middle-aged Taoist said with a smile. 6th. A Formation Master at the peak of the 9th grade Sage realm was only ranked 6th. The top 5 are all in the ancient Sage realm? Wang Kai was instantly shocked in his heart. He couldn't help but think of Gu Tianyin. With a rather playful smile, he said, from what I can see, the one ranked first should be Gu Tianyin. You must know that he doesn't have any cultivation. My friend, you are wrong. The Array Master ranking that I mentioned is not based on martial attainment. It is based on the Array Master's attainment. The middle-aged Taoist shook his head and said with a smile. Whoosh. Hearing that, Wang Kai curled his lips and snorted with disdain. If you do not have a strong martial cultivation when you are setting up the Array Master, can you do it? If you were to fight with Gu Tianyun in a battle of life and death, would you be able to resist using your martial cultivation? This, of course, I would not be able to resist. However, although Gu Tianyun does not have a martial cultivation, he is also ranked third based on his Array Master's attainment. Yes, it is the same when we use our cultivation. The middle-aged Taoist said with embarrassment. Damn, after half a day, Gu Tianyin could not beat 10 Formation Masters when he used his martial cultivation and Array Master at the same time. Is this what you mean? If there are less than 10 of you, you can only be ranked third? So, Gu Tianyin is fully deserving of being number 1. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders. His expression was rather disdainful as he spoke. Without any martial arts cultivation, he was able to fight against an Array Master who used both martial arts cultivation and Array Masters. He could not beat 10 Array Masters, but he could defeat any one of them. This was strong enough. His Array Master's attainment can only be ranked second. The first is the Array Saint. Moreover, he is the Array Saint's disciple. The middle-aged Taoist said helplessly. Hearing that, Wang Kai understood. This Taoist was not willing to admit that Gu Tianyin was stronger than them. Therefore, he kept saying that Gu Tianyin was second and third. Damn, why is Ben Shao helping Gu Tianyin to brag? Damn his uncle. Ben Shao is the number 1 when it comes to Array Masters. Okay? The others can only be ranked second. They're both second brothers. Wang Kai's face darkened as he said, speechlessly, congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 20,000 experience and 200 bragging points. Little friend, what are you talking about? The middle-aged Taoist pretended that he did not hear clearly and smiled faintly. Chapter 1035. Wang Kai shrugged and said nonchalantly, it's nothing. Ben Shao just wanted you to know that when it comes to formations, Ben Shao is still the best. At the very least, that Formation Saint is nothing compared to Ben Shao. Congratulations to the host for successfully boasting. You've gained 20,000 experience points and 200 bragging points. It was just a barren place. A Formation Saint was actually being looked down upon by a young man. For a moment, the middle-aged Taoist was speechless. Tell me, why are you helping Ben Shao like this? Do you want to get something from Ben Shao? Or do you want Ben Shao to teach you some mysterious formations? You're smart enough to know that Ben Shao's formations are all supreme and unbeatable. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and pretended to smile mysteriously. Congratulations to the host for successfully boasting. You've gained 20,000 experience points and 200 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the Great Sage First Grade. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the deity level. The power of God has been upgraded to deity level. Host, Wang Kai class, Chaotic Warrior, Formation Breaker level. Great Sage First Grade Art, Saint Daluo Vajrabadi, Chaotic Thousand Formation Image Martial Skill, Saint Void Hand, Array Breaking Technique Equipment, Saint Chaos Heaven Swallowing Halberd the Power of God, Deity Levelized Sorcery, Saint Torch Dragon's Eye Bragging Points, 700 Experience, 10000900000. Host, with the blessing of the deity level, you can gain the power of the gods at any level at will. Host, if you want to upgrade all your equipment, martial arts, and ice sorcery to deity level, you'll need to spend 3,000 bragging points. Once upgraded, your combat strength will increase by 12 times, and you'll be able to fight enemies 12 levels above you. It'll be the number 1 cross-level ability in the entire chaotic realm. Wang Kai frowned when he heard the notifications. He waved at the middle-aged Taoist and closed his eyes. Deity-level equipment, martial arts techniques, and so on. 3,000 bragging points. Rank number 1 in the primal chaos realm? What do you mean? Wang Kai asked in confusion. Host, in the chaotic realm, all great sage cultivators have the ability to kill enemies beyond their level. The highest level they can kill enemies is 10 levels higher. If you upgrade all of your equipment to deity grade, you can kill enemies 12 levels higher. After hearing the notification, Wang Kai came to a realization. In the Great Sage realm, all of them had the ability to kill enemies of a higher realm. Moreover, the strongest one was able to kill enemies 10 realms higher. 3,000 bragging points. Host, Wang Kai occupation, Primal Chaos Warrior, Array Breaker Realm. Great Sage, First Class Cultivation Technique, Sage Daluo Diamond Body, Chaotic Myriad Formation Image Martial Technique, Saint Void Hand, Array Breaking Technique Equipment, Holy Primal Chaos Heaven Swallowing Halberd the Power of God, Divine Eye Technique, Saint Torch Dragon's Eye Bragging Points, 2,700 Experience, 10000900000. I'm still short of 300? After glancing at the system information, Wang Kai slowly opened his eyes and smiled calmly. Old Taoist, do you know how many wives Ben Shao has? How many? When the middle-aged Taoist heard this, he was a little confused. He did not understand why Wang Kai would suddenly ask such a question. Almost all of them blurted out the question subconsciously. Yes, all the beautiful women in the world are Ben Shao's wives. He has to F***CK 100 of them in one night. Wang Kai squinted his eyes and smiled calmly. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 20,000 experience and 200 bragging points. When a middle-aged Taoist heard this, he was dumbfounded. He suddenly felt that this young man liked to brag. All the women in the world were his wives, and he had to F***CK 100 of them in one night? Even the great sage did not have the ability to make all the women in the world his wives, did he? Even if he had the ability, he would not do that. Woof, woof, woof. Master is truly awesome. You better believe me, Ox-Nosed Taoist. All the women in the world are indeed Master's wives. I, the Dog King, can vouch for that. The Dog King wagged its tail and puffed, sticking out its tongue as it warned. You're everywhere. Stupid dog. Ishu did not like the Dog King to begin with. Now that she heard him flatter her, she was furious. She said calmly, he's just bragging. I have nothing to do with him. Yes, I'm not his wife. F***CK, that's for sure. You're definitely not Master's wife. Master has seen all of your body and even used his mouth on you. Until now, you still don't have a status. At most, you're his lover. The Dog King grinned and said sharply, whoosh. When he said this, Ishu was instantly enraged. She had to admit that the Dog King's words were really provoking. All right, stop arguing, you two. Don't worry, Bin Shao will give you a status. How about being the wife of the Lord of the Chaotic Realm? Awesome enough, right? Wang Kai frowned and waved his hand casually. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've gained 20,000 experience points and 200 bragging points. Wang Kai's expression immediately lit up when he heard the notification. He simply didn't listen to Yi Shu's angry rebuke. Instead, he mysteriously closed his eyes again. This situation caused the middle-aged Taoist to be extremely surprised. However, he did not dare to question Wang Kai. He could only watch Wang Kai silently from the side. Upgrade all equipment, martial arts, and cultivation methods to deity level, Wang Kai said with his mind. Congratulations to the host for successfully upgrading the cultivation method to deity level. The Daluo Vajra body can protect the host's physical body in the chaotic realm. Congratulations to the host for successfully upgrading the martial arts technique, Hand of the Void, to deity level. Congratulations to the host for upgrading the chaotic formation portrait to deity level. Congratulations to the host for upgrading the formation breaking technique of order to deity level. Congratulations to the host for upgrading the chaotic heaven swallowing halberd to deity level. Congratulations to the host for upgrading the eye technique, Torch Dragon's Eye, to deity level. Host, a total of 3,000 bragging points have been consumed. Host, Wang Kai occupation, chaotic warrior, formation breaker level, great sage, grade 1 cultivation methods, deity Daluo Vajra body, deity chaotic formation portrait martial arts, deity Hand of the Void, deity chaotic formation breaking technique equipment, deity chaotic heaven swallowing halberd the power of God, deity eye technique, deity Daluo Vajra eyes bragging points, 100 experience, 500,009,0000 inch host. With the power of deity level, you only need to break through to the 3rd grade of the Great Sage Realm, and you will be invincible and indestructible in the chaotic realm. If you reach the peak of the 9th grade of the Great Sage Realm, you will be able to fight the weakest gods in the Kunlun realm. Wang Kai's eyes narrowed when he heard the prompt. He was excited at first, but in the end he could only fight the weakest gods in the Kunlun realm. In the chaotic realm, he was invincible and indestructible, but in the Kunlun realm, he could only be compared to the weakest gods. Well, it seems that Bin Shao still has a long way to go. Let's take care of the Stone Divine Realm for the time being, Wang Kai shrugged and said with a rather indifferent expression. Now that he had reached the Great Sage Realm, he should be able to return to the Sky Domain. However, before that, he still had to take care of the Stone Divine Realm. After all, this was the repayment he deserved for taking advantage of Yi Shu. Chapter 1036. Tell me, why are you so unwilling to give up helping Bin Shao? Do you want to get something for Bin Shao? Or do you want Bin Shao to help you complete something? Or do you have a beautiful daughter that you want to recommend to this young master? Wang Kai furrowed his brows and asked with an indifferent smile. Hearing this, the middle-aged Taoist felt extremely helpless. His face was extremely stiff as he smiled apologetically. He waved his hand and said, "Little friend, you've misunderstood. I really don't have any requests. It's just that seeing that we're both in the Kunlun realm, I want to stop. Let's stop here." Before the middle-aged Taoist could finish speaking, Wang Kai waved his hand and interrupted him. Then, he said indifferently, "Let's not talk about whether Bin Shao is from Kunlun or not. Even if he is, it has nothing to do with you. Even if it has something to do with you, it has something to do with your ancestors. Do you understand? This, little friend, what you said is indeed reasonable. However, blood is thicker than water. My ancestors were exiled from Kunlun, which also made me want to take revenge on Kunlun. So, what the hell? Take revenge on Kunlun?" Wang Kai frowned and looked at him in surprise. In response, the middle-aged Taoist's expression changed slightly. He knew that he had let it slip. Helpless, he could only say bluntly, "Yes, I do want to take revenge on Kunlun and redress the injustice of my ancestors. Little friend, you were recently exiled from Kunlun, so you must be very clear about that place, so So you want to build a good relationship with Ben Shao so that one day Ben Shao will lead you back to Kunlun and redress the injustice of your ancestors. Wang Kai grinned and said with amusement. In the end, he still wanted to make use of him. As the saying goes, there is no free lunch in the world. After some probing and questioning, this was really the case. Don't believe that a pie will fall from the sky. It was definitely a F***king trap. That's right. Little friend, you have just been exiled from Kunlun, so your anger must be much stronger than ours. Therefore, we are willing to follow you and fight our way back to Kunlun one day. The middle-aged Taoist said in a hot-blooded voice. Looking at his posture, it was as if he was going to carve out a piece of land for himself, establish his career, and do something big. How did it look like he wanted to avenge his ancestors? F***ck, using the ancestors' reputation as a reason to satisfy his own greed? Wang Kaisin was immediately filled with disdain for them. Not to mention that they weren't trying to redress the grievances of their ancestors. Even if they were, Wang Kaisin wouldn't care. Are you kidding me? As the saying goes, every family has their own problems. Do you think you're a righteous master? Ben Shao, let me tell you again seriously. The matter of Kunlun has nothing to do with Ben Shao. Ben Shao did not come from there. Now, do you understand? Wang Kai frowned and said impatiently. However, no matter how Wang Kai explained, the middle-aged Taoist did not believe him. He just smiled and nodded, saying, I understand. This matter will not be leaked easily. F***ck your leak. Scram. If you continue to bother this young master, I'll immediately destroy you. Wang Kai's face darkened as he scolded rather speechlessly. This middle-aged Taoist was indeed a bull's nose. Once he had decided on something, he could not change it no matter what. It made people speechless. If he had not seen him use the teleportation formation and helped him, he would have beaten him to the end of the world. Woof, woof, woof. You cowardly old Taoist, you're so shameless. You obviously want to use the master of the Prince of Dogs, but you make it sound so real. Don't you know that greed and intentions are written all over your face? Dog King snorted with disdain. That's right. No matter how much you want to hide and cover, you can't escape our eyes. You're too greedy. Ishu shook her head and said calmly. It was because the middle-aged Taoist was too greedy that he unknowingly exposed his true intentions in an instant. Wang Kai was not the only one who saw through it. Even the Dog King and Ishu saw through it. It was obvious that the middle-aged Taoist's fake intentions were full of flaws. Little friend, don't call me little friend. Ben Shao doesn't have time to deal with you. Also, when we reach the Divine Stone Domain, Ben Shao can easily deal with the fire Shengyuan's spirit in the Sea of Fire. There's no need for you 10 great formation masters to help. Don't F***king flatter yourself. Wang Kai said with a cold face and said with disdain. In the blink of an eye, he took the lead and walked towards the city gate. Woof, woof, woof. Don't follow me. Don't bother my master anymore. Otherwise, you'll really die a horrible death. Stinky old Taoist. Instead of learning Taoist techniques, you want to be the emperor. What a pretentious prick. Shameless thing. Dog King sneered with disdain and quickly followed Wang Kai. Faced with the Dog King's mockery, the middle-aged Taoist's expression turned ugly. However, he did not dare to provoke him too much. He could only grit his teeth and endure in anger. Actually, you really don't have to hide your true intentions. If you told my master clearly, you might have succeeded. Also, if you were really filial to your ancestors, you wouldn't have become a Taoist. Can a Taoist marry and have children? You unfilial thing. The invisible giant said in a muffled voice and swaggered away. When it was Ishu's turn, the middle-aged Taoist was already prepared. Unfortunately, in the end, he did not hear anything from her. Little did he know that Ishu was too lazy to pay attention to him. How could she mock him like the Dog King and the invisible giant? Young friend, I'll take you to the transmission tower. From there, you can directly reach the Fire Sea region of the Stone God realm. After thinking about it again and again, the middle-aged Taoist still did not want to give up. However, Wang Kai's attitude made him not dare to mention Kunlun's field again. He could only choose other ways to slowly build a good relationship with Wang Kai. Wang Kai was too lazy to argue with him. Since he wanted to help him, he would let him. It would save him a lot of trouble. There are idiots every year, but there are especially many today. Wang Kai shook his head and sighed. If he waited until the end, and this middle-aged Taoist realized that everything was in vain, what would he think? Transmission Tower. The first transmission tower in the 100 Formation City. Through this transmission tower, one could reach any place in the Chaos Realm in an instant. In the face of the middle-aged Taoist arrival, everyone in the transmission tower, whether it was the passers-by or the guards, bowed and greeted him with cupped fists. Their attitudes were extremely respectful. Seeing this scene, Wang Kai and the others were speechless. They had to admit that the title of a sixth of the 10 Great Formation Masters was quite impressive. Chapter 1037. Little friend, through this array, yes, stand here. Once the teleportation array is activated, you will arrive at the fire region of the Stone God domain. Under the middle-aged man's guidance, Wang Kai and the rest stood on a circular array. Looking down, they could clearly see that the array was engraved with dense array patterns. Furthermore, it was glowing with a faint blue light. Don't tell me you are harboring a grudge and are trying to use an array to teleport us to another place to trick us? Ishu, who was extremely suspicious, furrowed her brows and looked at the middle-aged Taoist suspiciously. In response, the Dog King and the invisible giant also stared at him. One had to know that the middle-aged Taoist had suffered quite a bit just now. It was very easy to be tricked by him. Hearing this, Wang Kai couldn't help but raise his eyebrows as he looked at the middle-aged Taoist indifferently. If he was really tricked by the middle-aged Taoist, it would really be terrible. I wouldn't dare. Don't worry, I am sincere in helping you. The middle-aged man quickly waved his hand and explained. One had to admit that this old man's temper was really good. Previously, he had mocked and ridiculed Lin Fan, but now he was still calm. It was a pity that he was too greedy and couldn't maintain a normal state of mind. Otherwise, he would definitely be a difficult person to deal with. Check where the teleportation formation here will teleport us to. In desperation, Wang Kai could only secretly communicate with the system. As the saying goes, nothing can go wrong. Although it wouldn't be a big loss to be tricked by him, some things were better not to happen. Of course, using the array-breaking technique of order could also break this array. However, in that case, they would lose the ability to teleport. Host, this teleportation array can teleport us to the Stone God domain. This trip will cost 100 bragging points. Host, Wang Kai occupation, chaotic warrior, array breaking master cultivation level, great sage, rank 1 cultivation method, divine connection, Daluo Vajra body, divine connection, chaotic million formation image martial technique, divine connection, hand of the void, divine connection, array breaking technique equipment, ascension, primal chaos heaven swallowing halberd the power of God, divine ocular technique, divine illumination, torch dragons eye bragging points, 0 experience, 500 009 0000. Hearing the notification, Wang Kai was speechless. His remaining 100 bragging points were cleared to 0. Under such circumstances, he even had the thought of beating up this old Taoist. Let's go. Ben Shao has already checked the formation here. It is indeed teleported to the Stone God domain. You have to believe in Ben Shao's attainments and formations. In this chaotic realm, no one can compete with Ben Shao. Wang Kai shrugged and said indifferently, "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 20,000 experience points and 200 bragging points." Did he see through the array in an instant? Ishu frowned in response. She still had some doubts in her heart. In the end, she had never believed that Wang Kaiwi knew anything about formations. Moreover, this old Taoist was the 6th formation master of the 100 formations domain. Was he so easy to deal with? Woof, woof, woof. If the master says it's fine, then it's fine. The Dog King wagged his tail, grinned, and opened his eyes wide to flatter Lin Fan. I also believe in the master. In my opinion, the master is the most awesome. The invisible giant also saw a good opportunity to flatter Lin Fan. Ishu glared at them coldly. She had no choice but to believe in Wang Kai. She really couldn't win against them. She also didn't have the confidence to change Wang Kai's mind. My young friend, your attainments and formations are really amazing. You can actually tell where this teleportation formation will teleport you with just one look. This humble Taoist is very impressed. The middle-aged Taoist waved his horsetail whisk and praised seriously. Woof, woof, woof. Smelly old Taoist. No matter how much you flatter the master, he won't help you. Don't waste your energy. Don't be a pushover. The Dog King snorted unhappily. The invisible giant was also unhappy about this. In their opinion, only they were allowed to flatter Wang Kai. No one else was allowed to do so. If they really flattered Wang Kai, wouldn't they be useless as his subordinates? This humble Taoist is just telling the truth. I don't mean to flatter you. The middle-aged Taoist waved his hand and smiled faintly. What? Was what he said wrong? Ben Xiao is just that awesome and awesome. Is there anything wrong with that? Wang Kai frowned and snorted unhappily. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 20,000 experience and 200 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the second stage of the Great Sage. Woof, woof, woof. This smelly old Taoist is right. The Prince of Dogs doesn't have a temper. The Dog King grinned and glared at the middle-aged Taoist. In this regard, the invisible giant also lost its confidence. It scratched its head and repeatedly agreed. All right, quickly activate the teleportation portal. The awesome Ben Xiao is going to the Stone God domain. Wang Kai shrugged and said indifferently, Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 20,000 experience and 200 bragging points. Who are these people? How dare they talk to the master like that? It sounds like the master is afraid of them. Could it be that another Gu Tianyan has appeared in the 100 Formations domain? That can't be right. It should be another Gu Tianyan. Can't you see that even a dog dares to scold the master? At the same time, the surrounding people began to discuss spiritedly. Wang Kai couldn't help but rub his chin as he looked at the middle-aged Taoist with amusement. Comparing himself to a second Gu Tianyan? If that's the case, then that Gu Tianyan is also ordering the middle-aged Taoist around like me? No wonder the middle-aged Taoist was so unwilling to accept Gu Tianyan. It turns out that he already had a deep grudge. What are you all looking at? Quickly leave. The middle-aged Taoist also felt that something was wrong. He scolded with a cold face. Yes, master. Even though there were thousands of thoughts in their hearts, they still didn't dare to say anything. They all cupped their fists and left. Little friend, let this humble Taoist go with you. If there's anything this humble Taoist needs, this humble Taoist will definitely not hold back. The middle-aged Taoist said with a sincere smile. Go with you? Dogs can plaster, you're still not leaving? Wang Kai was speechless. He didn't know how to explain it. Perhaps, no matter how he explained, the middle-aged Taoist would still think that he was exiled from the Kunlun realm. Forget it. Since you're willing to follow, then follow. However, there's something that Ben Xiao needs to say first. If you mention anything about the Kunlun realm to Ben Xiao again, you can die at any time. Do you understand? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and said coldly. Since the middle-aged Taoist had already helped, it meant that he couldn't directly kill him. If he couldn't kill him, then he could only scare him away. Unfortunately, the middle-aged Taoist wasn't afraid at all. He waved his horsetail whisk and took a step forward. He smiled and said, Little friend, don't worry. Chapter 1038 Divine Stone Territory, Skyfire City. Buzz. As the teleportation array flashed with a layer of light blue light, Wang Kai and the others appeared in a teleportation tower. How have you been, Master? You have the guts to visit Skyfire City. I haven't seen you for a long time since you set up the teleportation array here. A middle-aged man with filthy hair and a dirty face walked over shakily with a wine jug in his hand. As he spoke, his yellow teeth, coupled with his pungent breath, caused the Dog King to sneeze incessantly. Ishu, on the other hand, turned her head away with a look of disgust. Woof, woof, woof. Woof, woof, woof. Damn it. Get lost. Stay away from the Prince of Dogs. The Dog King shouted in disgust. If not for Wang Kai forbidding him from killing people at will, the Dog King would have immediately lashed out with his claws and crippled the middle-aged man. Where did this stinky dog come from? How dare you talk to me like that? Are you tired of living? Get lost. Suddenly, the sloppy middle-aged man shouted loudly. He raised his wine jug and swung it at the Dog King. Woof, woof, woof. Bang! Just as the Dog King was about to lash out with his claws in anger, Wang Kai waved his hand and slapped the wine jug. With a crack, the wine jug shattered and the sloppy middle-aged man fell to the ground. How dare you talk to Ben Xiao's dog like that? Don't you have any self-awareness? Wang Kai furrowed his brows and snorted with a displeased expression. As the saying goes, one has to look at the owner before beating a dog. Furthermore, he dared to be so impudent in front of his master. He did not respect his master at all. Wang Kai naturally would not tolerate such an arrogant and annoying person. Ahem, master, is this little brother your friend? His temper is quite big, isn't it? The sloppy middle-aged man snorted and straightened his back. He raised his head and drank a mouthful of wine. Then he said again, Master, how do you think we should settle this matter? How to solve it? Hearing this, Wang Kai sneered. He suddenly felt that the world had changed. Someone actually dared to threaten him in front of him? Die. Suddenly, the middle-aged Taoist spoke. His eyes flashed coldly. Whoosh! Once this was said, the sloppy middle-aged man's drinking posture suddenly froze. He blankly stared at the middle-aged Taoist and shouted with great shock. What did you say? You want me to die? Are you sure you didn't say anything wrong? Have you forgotten that I'm the city lord of Heavenly Fire City? Lord of Skyfire City? Hearing this, Wang Kai squinted his eyes and raised his hand to stop the middle-aged Taoist from speaking. He turned to the Dog King and said, Iota Towery, go and tear him apart. There is no need to spoil him. There's no need to show mercy. Woof, woof, woof. Master, the Prince of Dogs has been waiting for a long time. F*CKU. You want to beat up the Prince of Dogs? Buzz. Suddenly, the Dog King's body moved. He somersaulted and leaped into the air. He waved his sharp claws and slapped towards the sloppy middle-aged man's head. Fire, Sheng Yuan's spirit. Save me. Whoosh, whoosh. The sloppy middle-aged man shouted. Before the Dog King could succeed, streams of fire swept towards him and brought him out of the teleportation tower. Woof, woof, woof. Fire, Sheng Yuan's spirit? You even dare to interfere with the matters of the Prince of Dogs? The Dog King's attack missed, and he immediately roared towards the outside. Seeing that angry look, the corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitched slightly. Ishu, who was standing at the side, felt a chill in her heart. Only now did she understand that if it weren't for her special relationship with Wang Kai, she would have been torn apart by the Dog King. Looking at his appearance now, she could guess that he was definitely not a kind person. Little friend, you may not know this, but this person was originally a beggar without any cultivation. He coincidentally met the fire Sheng Yuan spirit and moved the sea of fire to this place. He came up with a plan for the fire Sheng Yuan spirit to build a city here. He invited countless people to come here and witness the might of the fire Sheng Yuan spirit. Therefore, he was protected by the fire Sheng Yuan spirit and even became the city lord of this city. The middle-aged Taoist said calmly with a hint of disdain in his eyes, A beggar ascended to heaven? Did he start to be awesome after obtaining the Tao? Hearing this, Wang Kai was speechless. He couldn't help but rub his nose. He smiled calmly and said, It's just a fire Sheng Yuan spirit. Iota Towery, just you wait. Watch Ben Xiao capture that person for you. Whoosh! As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Kai's figure disappeared. When he reappeared, he was outside Sky Fire City. He looked at the raging sea of fire in front of him with his hands behind his back and said calmly, Hand over the person and Ben Xiao will spare your life. Hee, little bastard, stop bragging over there. If you have the guts, why don't you try to fight your way in? I was just slapped by your sneak attack. Now I'm going to chop you up and feed you to the dog. I'm going to feed your stupid dog. After he eats you up, I'll chop him up and eat him with wine." Within the sea of fire, the sloppy middle-aged man's shout was heard. Following that, flames turned into fire blades and slashed towards Wang Kai, who was in midair. Seeing this, Wang Kai's pupils shrank slightly, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. He suddenly turned his hand and swept it, instantly destroying the fire blades. "I've really given you some face, haven't I? Come out. Buzz." Whoosh! In an instant, under Wang Kai's fierce roar, the sea of fire could be clearly seen splitting into two. From the middle, the sloppy middle-aged man's figure was revealed. However, what attracted Wang Kai's attention was the floating ball of fire beside the sloppy middle-aged man. It seemed to be alive and was slowly jumping. That's the Fire Xingyuan spirit. He has not successfully transformed, but he already has the combat power of a peak 9th grade ancient sage. When he transforms, at the same time, the middle-aged Taoist, the Dog King, the invisible giant, and Ishu all appeared outside the city. Sea of fire. Damn you, Fire Xingyuan spirit. Where's my family? Where are my people? What did you do to them? Ishu gritted her teeth and scolded angrily. However, in the face of Ishu's shouts, the Fire Xingyuan spirit seemed to understand, but it could not speak. Other than moving a few times, it did not give any response. Family? The family that claims to be the descendants of TSK, they're all my subordinates. All the girls in the clan, no matter young or old, have become my wife or concubine. You look pretty good. Come over here and be my concubine, ha ha. If you live well, I can give you a wife. After a short moment of shock, the sloppy middle-aged man put his hands on his waist and laughed in a daze. Woof, woof, woof. Master, the Prince of Dogs can't take it anymore. You must kill him. The Prince of Dogs can't defeat the Fire Xingyuan spirit for now. Master, take him down. The Dog King bared his teeth and said. Chapter 1039. No. If that's the case, wouldn't we be letting him off too easily? He even dared to molest Bencheo's woman and insult Bencheo's dog. His crimes are punishable by death. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled coldly. Whoosh! Hearing this, the Dog King snorted and suppressed his anger, waiting for Wang Kai to attack. Who is your woman? Woman. Ishu's pretty face couldn't help but turn red when she heard this. She wanted to refute, but her voice became smaller and smaller as she spoke. Fire Xingyuan spirit, why are you still talking nonsense with them? Hurry up and kill them all. Leave that little bitch behind. I want *CK her to death. Hee. Ha! The sloppy middle-aged man laughed loudly. Buzz. As soon as he finished speaking, the Fire Xingyuan spirit jumped up and stirred up a huge fire. Its target was not Wang Kai, but the sloppy middle-aged man who was laughing proudly. Bang! Ah! What are you doing? Ah! Save me! The sloppy middle-aged man was covered in flames. His entire body was burning, and he was in extreme pain. He screamed and writhed on the ground. Bzz. At the same time, the Fire Xingyuan spirit faced the Dog King and let out an ear-piercing sound. The Dog King pricked up his ears. After listening for a while, he was speechless. What did he say? Wang Kai frowned and asked in surprise. He did not understand why the Fire Xingyuan spirit attacked the sloppy middle-aged man. The middle-aged Taoist and Ishu also looked at the Dog King. On the other hand, the invisible giant was very cool. He stood there in a daze, as if nothing had happened. Other than his fear of fire, there was only heat left. Master, he said he couldn't beat you. He didn't want to die, so he killed that human. He hopes you can forgive his rudeness and not kill him. The Dog King raised his paw and waved it twice. Couldn't beat him, so he took the initiative to admit defeat? The corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitched slightly when he heard this. Indeed, there was no one in the Divine Stone territory who wanted to fight him with their eminent Saint Stage cultivation base. Only in the central region would there be opponents, right? However, The way the fire Xingyuan spirit handled things surprised Wang Kai. Although he did not know how to speak, he understood how to conduct himself well. This was something that a bad person would do. He could abandon any chess piece at any time, treating them as a pawn. This fire Xingyuan spirit was definitely not a good person. Since you know that Ben Shao is awesome, why don't you release the fiery region? Do you want to keep it as your palace? And the members of the Yi family, let them all go. Wang Kai frowned and said with an indifferent expression, "Congratulations to host for successfully bragging. You have received 20,000 experience points and 200 bragging points." Even if he was a holy spirit, he would not be nice to someone who could abandon people at any time. BZZT, BZZT, BZZT. Suddenly, the fire Xingyuan spirit seemed to be anxious. He kept barking at the Dog King. "Woof, woof, woof. Master," he said that the fiery region is his home. He doesn't want to give it up. He hopes you can let him go and fulfill his wish. The Dog King said with a smile. His home? Hearing this, Wang Kai frowned. He stole it. How could he say that it was his home? Bastard. Could it be that all bandits are so arrogant? Ishu frowned, her beautiful face ashen as she angrily rebuked. BZZT, BZZT. Cough, cough. He said that you are the bastard. He wants to take over the fiery region to make it more powerful. He said that the fiery region's power was suppressed by the 9 godly arrows. The Dog King helplessly translated again. 9 godly arrows? Shooting sun arrows? Wang Kai shrugged, a playful smile appearing on his face. What did you do with the shooting sun arrows? However, Ishu was very anxious. It was as if the sky had fallen. BZZT. Facing Ishu's question, the Fire Saint Yuan Ling seemed to be very dissatisfied. It turned around half a circle, as if it didn't want to respond. He said that he doesn't like you and doesn't want to talk to you. He wants Master to talk to him. The Dog King smiled and said secretly, "This Fire Xingyuan spirit was quite interesting." Hearing this, Wang Kai couldn't help but rub his nose. Under Ishu's pleading gaze, he could only wave his hand and say, "Bin Shao wants the 9 shooting sun arrows. Where are they now?" BZZT, BZZT. When Wang Kai finished speaking, the Fire Xingyuan spirit immediately turned around and quickly shouted nonstop. "Master," he said that he has already taken out 4 of the shooting sun arrows. If you want them, he can give them to you at any time. The remaining 5 are still in the fiery region. If you want to take them out, it will take at least 2 months. The Dog King shook his tail and impatiently translated. "For the shooting sun arrows?" Wang Kai's eyes widened when he heard this. He was extremely shocked. He never thought that the Fire Xingyuan spirit would be able to take out 4 of the shooting sun arrows from Hou Yi's body. Furthermore, he claimed that he would only need 2 months to take out all the shooting sun arrows. Could it be that Hou Yi's cultivation was only at the ancient sage realm when he shot the sun arrows? Impossible. Even the great sage of the central region personally came to take the 9 shooting sun arrows, and he couldn't do anything to them. He must be lying. He must have done something shameful in the Fire Sea region. Ishu suddenly refuted in a sweet voice. BZZT, BZZT. He said that nothing is impossible. The shooting sun arrows are right here. Buzz. Swoosh, swoosh. Swoosh, swoosh. Suddenly, after the Dog King's translation, 4 streaks of fiery red light pierced through the air and turned into 4 blood-red arrows, stabbing into the ground. When she saw this scene, Ishu, who was originally in extreme disbelief, was stunned on the spot, and she was extremely absent-minded. How is this possible? They are really the shooting sun arrows? Ishu murmured in a daze. Buzz. Wang Kai squinted his eyes when he saw this. He flipped his hand and grabbed the 4 arrows. There's nothing special about them. Aren't they just 4 ordinary arrows? Wang Kai frowned and said in a strange tone, "Swoosh." Seeing this, Ishu blinked her beautiful eyes and stretched out her slender jade-like hand, snatching all 4 arrows. They can only unleash their full power when they cooperate with the shooting sun bows. Give me the shooting sun bows. I want the Fire Xingyuan spirit to experience the power of the shooting sun arrows. Ishu said, gritting her teeth. Wang Kai casually shrugged when he heard this. He was also very curious about how powerful the sun shooting bow was. With this thought in mind, he flipped his hand and took out the sun shooting bow. Take it. Let Bin Xiao widen his horizons. Wang Kai said with a faint smile. Patter. When Ishu took the shooting sun bows, she immediately pulled the bow and aimed the shooting sun arrows at the fire Xingyuan spirit in the fiery region. Chapter 1040. ZZ. ZZ. When the fire Xingyuan spirit saw that Ishu was about to attack it, it immediately displayed a strong anger and killing intent. However, due to Wang Kai, it could only shout nonstop and did not dare to directly attack. Master, he asked her to stop. Otherwise, he will kill her. The Dog King grinned and said in a low voice. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and looked at the fire Xingyuan spirit, whose killing intent was not fake. He could not help but touch his nose and waved his hand indifferently. It's fine. Bin Xiao only wants to see the power of the sun shooting bow and sun shooting arrows. He will not harm your life. ZZ. ZZ. Although the fire Xingyuan spirit was unhappy about being attacked, it could only jump a few times and nod under Wang Kai's orders. He said that with those lousy arrows, you can't hurt him at all. As long as you don't take away the sea of fire, you can shoot as much as you want. The Dog King wagged his tail and looked at Ishu with a grin. The Dog King was secretly pleased with the fire Xingyuan spirit's disdain and contempt. Ishu's actions were too impulsive. Did she not know what realm the fire Xingyuan spirit was at? How could a peak 9th grade ancient sage be so easy to deal with? Even if the sun shooting bow and sun shooting arrows were very powerful, they belonged to Ho-I. It depended on who was using them. If it was so easy to suppress the fire Xingyuan spirit, someone would have already taken action and subdued it. Would Ishu even have the chance to do it? Even if my cultivation is not high, once the sun shooting arrow is shot, it will lose a portion of its power. If I want to use up all the power of the sun shooting arrow, I can unleash the full power of a great sage. Ishu frowned and snorted confidently. Wang. After he finished speaking, he gathered his power. Blood-red, demonic flames could be clearly seen emerging from the shooting sun arrow. Its aura also became stronger and more terrifying. In less than 10 breaths of time, the shooting sun arrows had all turned into blood-red flames. It was impossible to see the shape of the arrow feathers. An all-out attack from a great sage expert? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes. He couldn't help but feel a little surprised and even more curious. He really wanted to see if the combination of the sun shooting bow and sun shooting arrows was as powerful as Ishu said. Sizzle, sizzle. Below, within the sea of fire, the fire Xingyuan spirit naturally understood Ishu's words. However, he was extremely disdainful of her. Even his tone of voice had become casual. It was as if he was saying, shoot at will. He said to shoot at will. Anyway, it won't hurt him at all. We can't even get close to him. The Dog King lifted his paw and scratched his ear as he spoke. Sensing the terrifying power emitted from the shooting sun arrow, the Dog King felt that the fire Xingyuan spirit was boasting. This power had already reached the peak of the 9th grade of the ancient sage realm. It was no different from the fire Xingyuan spirit's combat power. Furthermore, it was still increasing. All right, there's no need to deplete the power of the shooting sun arrow. Bin Xiao already knows the power of the combination of the shooting sun arrow and sun shooting bow. Wang Kai frowned slightly and waved his hand. Even though the shooting sun arrow was very powerful now, Wang Kai didn't think that it would be able to hurt the fire Xingyuan spirit. After all, the fire Xingyuan spirit was too calm. It was so calm that it didn't even bat an eye. The power of the shooting sun arrow couldn't be faked. If Wang Kai could sense it, so could the Dog King. Similarly, the fire Xingyuan spirit could also sense it. Since that was the case, the fire Xingyuan spirit must have some special ability to be able to remain so calm. Rather than expending the power of the shooting sun arrow and not being able to hurt the fire Xinyuan spirit, it was better not to shoot the arrow and preserve its power. Perhaps it could be used in the future. After all, the power of the shooting sun arrow could continue to increase. Now that it had reached the peak of the 9th grade of the ancient sage realm, how powerful would it be if it was completely depleted and destroyed? Hou Yi's treasure naturally couldn't be underestimated. BZZT. BZZT. When the fire Xinyuan spirit heard Wang Kai's order to stop it, it shouted a few times and condensed its flames into a hand, waving at Ishu. This fire saint's origin spirit is really interesting. Master, he's saying that there's no need to worry about him. Just let this stinky woman shoot as she pleases. If she can hurt him even a little, he'll lose. The Dog King grinned in surprise. Up until now, the fire Xinyuan spirit was still able to remain calm. The Dog King couldn't help but believe that it really had the ability to withstand the combined power of the shooting sun arrow and shooting sun bow. Arrogant. Release all my clansmen. Otherwise, I'd rather destroy these 4 arrows to kill you. Ishu's beautiful brows knit together tightly as she berated in a delicate voice. As a descendant of Hou Yi, she was naturally unhappy with the fire Xinyuan spirit's arrogant attitude. After all, the shooting sun bow and shooting sun arrows were regarded as supreme treasures by the Yi family. BZZT. BZZT. The fire Xinyuan spirit was extremely disdainful when it heard this. It condensed another, but then patted it with its hand, shouting nonstop. Haha, it's asking you to hurry up and shoot. It's too much nonsense. If you don't shoot, it'll kill your entire clan. The Dog King was lying on the ground, laughing nonstop as it translated. Hearing this, Wang Kai couldn't help but rub his nose and smile. It had to be said that the fire Xinyuan spirit was really interesting. Damn it. After a long stalemate, Ishu clenched her teeth and removed the sun-shooting arrow. She dispersed the condensed energy. Even though she was unwilling, she did not want the power of the sun-shooting arrow to be used up like this. She also didn't want the shooting sun arrow to be completely destroyed. Seeing this, Wang Kai grinned. After all this, Ishu was just trying to scare the fire Xinyuan spirit. In the end, she didn't want the shooting sun arrow to disappear either. Why can't you speak? This iota tower can speak. Its cultivation level isn't even as high as yours. Wang Kai frowned and asked in confusion. BZZT. BZZT. Hearing this, the fire Xinyuan spirit's attitude was naturally very respectful. It condensed both its hands and cupped them together. Master, it's not that it can't speak. It's that it could originally speak and transform into a great sage. It's just that it used all its power to strengthen the fire region. It wants to turn the fire region into a fire realm that transcends the chaotic realm. The Dog King was shocked as it translated. Swoosh! A fire realm that transcends the chaotic realm. A realm of its own. A place that existed like the chaotic realm. Wang Kai's pupil shrank when he heard this. He didn't expect the fire Xinyuan spirit's goal to be so high. It even gave up on transforming into a great sage. Chapter 1041. You want to bring the sea of fire out of the chaotic realm? Ishu's beautiful eyes were also stunned when she heard this. Similarly, she did not expect the true goal of the fire saint's Yuan spirit to be this. Because of this, Ishu's anger dissipated a little. If the sea of fire could be turned into an existence similar to the chaotic realm, the Yi family would become even more powerful. Why are you so happy? Have you lost your mind recently? Logically speaking, after drinking this young master's milk, you should have become very smart. Could it be that you become stupid? Even if it becomes the sea of fire, it still belongs to him. What does it have to do with you and the Yi family? Wang Kai frowned and said speechlessly, Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 20,000 experience points and 200 bragging points. Whoosh! Hearing this, Ishu glanced at Wang Kai in disdain and angrily rebuked. So what if it belongs to him? as long as the Yi family becomes stronger. Ishu even had her own thoughts. If the Sea of Fire really became the Sea of Fire, the Fire, Xingyuan spirit, might become the guardian of the Yi family through Wang Kai's intimidation. Although the price to pay for Wang Kai's help would be high. However, Ishu was a branch of the Yi family. At the same time, many things had happened between her and Wang Kai that should not have happened. Even if she did it in the end, it did not matter. BZZT, 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 BZZT. The Fire Saint's primordial spirit shouted at Ishu a few times, and in the blink of an eye, shot out flames, piercing towards her. Wang Kai frowned when he saw this. He did not know whether the Fire Xingyuan spirit had good intentions or bad intentions. He immediately raised his hand to block it. Master, don't stop him. He said he wants to bring her to see the Yi family. He is giving you face. The Dog King jumped up and said, whoosh. Hearing this, Wang Kai's eyebrows twitched slightly, and he slowly put his hand down. Ishu also let her guard down and allowed the flames to wrap around her body. She was pulled into the Sea of Fire and disappeared in the blink of an eye. BZZT, 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 BZZT. Whoosh. At the same time, the Fire Xingyuan spirit closed the Sea of Fire and flew out and circled around Wang Kai. Wang Kai looked at the ball of flames in front of him and rubbed his nose. He asked in confusion, what is he saying? He said that he's willing to acknowledge you as his master and hopes that you can help him. Even if you don't help him, don't stop him. If he succeeds in transforming the Fire World, he'll let you be the Vice World Master. The Dog King grinned and said with a playful tone, hope, hope. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes slightly when he heard this. He glanced at the Fire Saint Yuan spirit with an indifferent expression and asked with a playful smile, then who will be the Realm Lord? BZZT, 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 BZZT. The Fire Saint's origin spirit was not courteous in the slightest. It condensed a hand and pointed at itself. Cough, cough. Master, he said he will be the World Master and you will be the Vice World Master. However, he wants a title and will listen to you. The Dog King was speechless. He thought to himself, is this Fire Xingyuan spirit here to die? It was obvious that Wang Kai did not have a good impression of the Fire Xingyuan spirit. After all, it was easy to be disgusted by someone who abandoned his subordinates. But at this critical juncture, he announced that Wang Kai would be the Vice World Master. BZZT, 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 BZZT. Woof, woof, woof. Suddenly, when the Fire Xingyuan spirit barked again, the Dog King did not dare to translate. He even winked at the Fire Xingyuan spirit and barked at it. Moreover, Wang Kai did not understand the barks they used. Whether it was the Dog King or the Fire Xingyuan spirit, they did not understand. He did not know what they were saying or arguing about. Are you stupid? Is it his honor to be the Vice World Master? Aren't you afraid of death? I am afraid of death, but it is indeed his honor to be the Vice World Master. At that time, the Fire World will not lose to the Chaos World. Can't you say it in another way? Moreover, you have already recognized Master as your master. Isn't it better to let him be the World Master and you be the Vice World Master? That won't do. I gave up the Great Sage Realm and obtained the Fire World. How can I let him be the World Master? You idiot. The Prince of Dogs secretly told you that Master is a wild crane. He will not care about a small Fire World. He said that he will stay for a few more days and then leave. At that time, you will have the final say, right? You can call yourself the World Master if you want. You can even call the shots. Isn't that the best of both worlds? This is what you said true? Nonsense. The Prince of Dogs is a holy spirit like you. Why would I lie to you? Bullshit. You're just a true spirit of heaven and earth. I'm the Holy Spirit. F*CKU. Do you believe that the Prince of Dogs will tell Master that you called him an idiot and angered him, so that he will kill you immediately? I'll agree to it. Call me Brother Dog. Brother Dog. Woof, woof, woof. After the Dog King and the Fire Xingyuan spirit argued for a long time, it started to bark at Wang Kai. Master, the Prince of Dogs has already made arrangements for him. The arrangements are clear. You will be the World Master. He is not even a deputy world master. He is just a fart. Hee hee. The Dog King wagged its tail proudly. Buzz, buzz. Buzz, buzz. You are a fart. Why don't I have a deputy world master? Brother Dog, you are not fair. F*CKU. The Prince of Dogs is asking you. Do you want to live or die? You. Brother Dog, you are a dog relying on its master's power. F*CK, you're right. If you're not convinced, you can rely on it too. After the shouting, the fire Xingyuan spirit was so angry that it walked back and forth. It did not know how to deal with it for a long time. It was too afraid that the Dog King would add fuel to the fire and cause Wang Kai to kill out of anger. It is just a world master. Bin Xiao does not need it. However, if the fire world can be carried around, Bin Xiao will consider bringing the fire world into Kunlun's field and make it the strongest world. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled proudly. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 20,000 experience and 200 bragging points. Buzz, buzz. The fire Xingyuan spirit immediately shouted. Master, he is asking what kind of place Kunlun's field is. The Dog King raised its paw and waved its hand. In response, Wang Kai squinted his eyes slightly and said calmly, "It is a very awesome place." The chaotic realm was derived from Kunlun's field. However, Kunlun's field was created by Ben Xiao casually. It is just a toilet. It is not worth mentioning. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 20,000 experience and 200 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 3rd grade Great Sage Realm. Buzz, buzz. After understanding Wang Kai's words, the fire Xingyuan spirit immediately formed a human head and shook its head violently. Master, he said he is not willing to go to the toilet. If you want to go, he wants you to go by yourself. The Dog King grinned and said awkwardly. Chapter 1042. Fuck, this young master's latrine is not an ordinary latrine. The environment there is beautiful, birds are singing, and flowers are fragrant. Countless beautiful girls are naked inside. Wang Kai shrugged and said with a playful smile, "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 20,000 experience points and 200 bragging points." What? Is that true? As soon as this was said, before the fire Saint Yuan Ling could say anything, the Dog King's eyes widened, and he opened his mouth and exhaled, looking very expectant. It was almost drooling. Of course it's true. Furthermore, the beauties, they're all peerless beauties. Any one of them can charm thousands of young men. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled faintly. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 20,000 experience points and 200 bragging points. BZZT, 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 BZZT. Woof, woof, woof. All of a sudden, the Fire Saint's Yuan spirit seemed to be moved as well. It began to shout incessantly, but the Dog King was too lazy to translate what it said. Instead, it began to speak to Wang Kai. Master, bring the Prince of Dogs there. If you don't bring such a loyal dog like the Prince of Dogs, you will be letting your conscience down. The Dog King wagged its tail and mumbled, BZZT, 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 BZZT. Whoosh, whoosh. Seeing that the Dog King was not translating, the Fire Xingyuan spirit was instantly enraged. It circled the Dog King and barked nonstop. Woof, woof, woof. Scram. As the #1 divine beast under master, even this Dog King hasn't gone yet. You want to go? Dream on. If you bark again, the Prince of Dogs will immediately tell master that you are insulting him. BZZT, 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 BZZT. Brother Dog, aren't you too much of a dog? What kind of dog is this? To think that I even called you Brother Dog. With your cultivation base and strength, you don't even have the right to talk to me. In a fit of anger, the Fire Xingyuan spirit also began to make a ruckus. He looked like he was ready to fight to the death with the Dog King. F*CK. Little brother, are you getting carried away? The Prince of Dogs can make you regret it immediately. Do you believe me? The Dog King glared at her and snorted threateningly. Sizzle. Sizzle. Didn't you just tell your master that I scolded him? F asterisk CK. If your master believes you, then it proves that he's a fool. This sage doesn't even want to acknowledge such a master. The fire Xingyuan's spirit snorted disdainfully. After being oppressed by the Dog King for so long, he was furious. At this point, he could no longer hold it in. Are you sure? Don't forget, the fire world will be gone by then. Moreover, your little life will also be finished. If you understand, then quickly call me Master Dog. The Dog King grinned and sneered. Master Dog? Sizzle. Sizzle. Hearing this, the fire Xingyuan's spirit was instantly enraged. He formed a palm and made a disdainful gesture. The Prince of Dogs wants to keep him alive first, so that he can do more for you. When the Prince of Dogs is strong enough to beat him, he will definitely take his life. That's the best way to vent your anger, isn't it? The Dog King's eyes rolled around as he explained. Sizzle. Sizzle. Dog Basket, why aren't you strong anymore? Weren't you very arrogant just now? F asterisk CKU. The fire Xingyuan spirit saw that the Dog King had admitted defeat and immediately took the opportunity to ridicule him. Regarding this, even if the Dog King was furious, he didn't dare to say anything. Fire Xingyuan's spirit, the two of you fight. If you can win, Bin Xiao will accept you. He will also help you create the fire world. Wang Kai shrugged and said with a calm smile, Sizzle. Sizzle. Hearing this, the fire Xingyuan spirit was overjoyed. It was worried that it could only ridicule the Dog King and not take care of him. Now that it had received Wang Kai's order, wasn't it logical? F asterisk CK. Master, you can't play like this, right? The Dog King was stunned, especially when he saw the fire Xingyuan spirit's attacking posture. His heart turned cold. Chapter 1043. Within the Sea of Fire. After Yishu reunited with her clan members, she did not feel very happy. This was because all the branches of the Yi clan had been destroyed by the direct descendants. The one who had caused all this was the sloppy middle-aged man who had already died. Yi clan's fire palace. Yishu's pretty face was frosty as she stood inside. Her cold gaze swept across the clan's direct descendant elders on both sides, as well as the middle-aged man sitting at the head of the table. The middle-aged man was wearing a fiery red robe. His eyebrows and hair were all blood red. If not for his black and white pupils, he would have been mistaken for a demonic cultivator. He was the head of the Yi clan. Yi first. Sure, you've returned at the right time. Marry the city lord of Sky, Fire City. This is the mission of all the women in the clan, to strengthen the glory of the Yi clan. He first said indifferently. In response, many of the surrounding direct line elders nodded their heads in agreement. Agree. Many of the direct descendants of the clan have married the city lord of Sky, Fire City. Because of this, our Yi clan has become the overlord of the Sea of Fire. With the protection of the fire Xingyuan spirit, our clan will definitely prosper forever. That's right. Even the clan leader's wife and concubines, and even the clan leader's daughter, the daughter of the Yi clan, have married the city lord of Sky, Fire City. Are you still not happy? That's right. Don't be so shameless. Just like those trash from the branch families, which one of the women who resisted weren't played to death. Just thinking about that scene makes me feel that it's interesting. The city lord of Sky Fire City is really fierce. Many elders of the direct descendants tried to persuade her. Some used gentle methods, while others directly threatened her. From the beginning to the end, they maintained a calm appearance. Even when the clan leader, he first willingly married his wife, concubines, and even his daughter to the city lord of Sky Fire City, he first did not show any displeasure. It was as if all of this was very natural. If the clan leader could give away his wife and daughter, the elders of the direct descendants present would naturally not be an exception. It was precisely because of this that Yishu's face, which was originally filled with anger, became expressionless in the end. Her cold and detached appearance caused one to feel a chill in their hearts. Don't you know that the Lord of Sky Fire City is already dead? Ishu's red lips parted slightly as she coldly laughed in an indifferent tone. Whoosh! Many direct line elders were startled when these words sounded. E, who was at the front, was also clearly stunned. However, this silence did not last for long before they burst into laughter. You truly like to joke around. Although the heavenly Flame City's city lord has never trained in martial cultivation and does not have much ability, the Fire Xingyuan spirit is protecting him. That's right. With the protection of the Fire Xingyuan spirit, who can harm him? Ishu, you can't be thinking of casually fabricating a lie and taking the opportunity to deceive us, right? That's impossible. This matter has been decided. Grand Elder, go and dress her up as a bride. Oh, that's right. Before that, send her to my room first. You can bring her to change later. He was the first to speak in an indifferent manner. Whoosh! Lustful light appeared in the eyes of many direct line elders when they heard this. Even if they wanted to change her clothes, they could just order the servants to do so. Why did they need the Grand Elder to step forward? Moreover, before they changed her clothes, they had to go to the clan leader's room first. The intention behind this was to let the clan leader have a good time and have a taste of Ishu's delicacies. Finally, it would be the turn of the various elders to have a taste. Once they were all done, they would send her to the Lord of Sky Fire City. The various elders were naturally all too familiar with this matter. They had already done this long before Ishu had returned. Hence, it was naturally very easy for them to do so now. All right, we will follow the clan leader's orders. The various elders cupped their fists together and accepted the order with a smile. Then, they all turned to look at Ishu. Ishu was already laughing coldly at this. She naturally knew that they did not know that the Lord of Sky Fire City was already dead. They also did not know that even the Fire Xingyuan spirit was afraid of Wang Kai. If you don't believe me, you can send someone out to take a look. However, I have to tell you that if you dare to touch me, the E clan will be completely annihilated. Ishu narrowed her eyes and sneered with an extremely cold expression. At this point, she no longer had any reluctance to part with the E clan. If she could, she would really want to annihilate this group of bastards. However, she was very clear that she did not have the strength to do so. Furthermore, she would not be able to escape from the direct line elders and clan leader E. Although she could use the sun shooting bow and sun shooting arrows, with her own strength, she needed time to gather the power to defeat everyone. Would they give her the time to gather the power? Obviously, it was impossible. Once they discovered the sun shooting bow and sun shooting arrows, they would definitely be taken away. At that time, the gains would not make up for the losses. Therefore, she could only use this to threaten them, to make them fear her. Even now, you still want to lie? Grand Elder, what are you waiting for? Quickly. Forget it. I will do it myself. He was the first to speak when he waved his hand. He stood up and walked towards Ishu. Ishu was extremely frightened. However, she pretended to be calm and said coldly, I'm standing right here. If you're not afraid of death, you can touch me. The death of the Lord of Sky Fire City and the death of the E-Clan is more than enough. Woof, woof, woof. Damn it. Who is acting tough over there? Don't you know that the Prince of Dogs is in a bad mood now? Suddenly, a few dog barks were heard, causing everyone in the Fire Palace to be stunned. When they looked over, they saw a dog with a swollen face, slanted eyes, and a few bald patches on his body walking in. Damn it. Damn the Fire Xingyuan spirit. I will let you be proud for a few more days. When the Prince of Dogs transforms into the ancient sage spirit, he will definitely beat you half to death. The Dog King glared and cursed as he walked. This time, he was beaten up badly by the Fire Xingyuan spirit. Wonka did not care at all. He was watching the show from the side. Under such circumstances, the Dog King could not be angry at all. After all, the Dog King was the one who caused all this trouble. Who could he blame? Iota Towery. Ishu's beautiful eyes lit up with joy when she saw the Dog King. She quickly ran behind him and pointed at the direct line elders and E, who was walking over. She said, Kill these bastards. From now on, our enmity will be written off, and I will even support you. If anyone bullies you, I will let Wang Kai take care of them. Whoosh. Hearing this, the Dog King's eyes lit up. Not only were their grudges written off, he could even get Wang Kai to help him vent his anger. Have you thought it through? Have you finally understood? Do you want to go into the arms of Master? The Dog King looked up and asked in surprise. I wish everyone a happy new year. Eat dumplings, cough, cough, and play. Chapter 1044. Shut up. Are you going to help me or not? Ishu frowned and snorted in displeasure. Woof, woof, woof. Is there anyone who begs a dog like you? Don't you know how to be gentler? Also, the Prince of Dogs can easily deal with this bunch of trash. Is there a need to take so much effort to tear them apart? The Dog King snorted in annoyance. He had already been beaten up by the Fire Saint Yuan Ling, so he was still very angry. However, Ishu's conditions tempted the Dog King. After all, from the Dog King's point of view, Ishu was bound to become Wang Kai's woman. At that time, he would have a lot of power. Where did this dog come from? How dare you make a ruckus here? Suddenly, he frowned, and he berated with a rather livid expression. Swoosh! At the same time, many of the direct line elders gathered around and stared at the Dog King and Ishu with gloomy faces. They had thought that some expert would come, but it turned out to be a dog. Moreover, they had been looked down upon by a dog. It was extremely unpleasant. Woof, woof, woof. Bastards, how dare a bunch of baskets talk to the Prince of Dogs like this? Don't you know that the Prince of Dogs is the most powerful person in this world other than Master? The Dog King, who was in a fit of anger, immediately bared its teeth and cursed. Its body moved, and it leaped into the air. Then, it waved its claws and swatted at E. Stupid dog, do you still dare to bite me? Buzz. He did not need to make the first move. Many of the direct line elders rushed over and attacked the Dog King from all directions. Oomph. The corners of Yi's mouth curled slightly. He stood there motionlessly with his hands behind his back. His expression was extremely disdainful and calm. He did not put the Dog King in his eyes at all. How dare a bunch of trash attack me? Woof, woof, woof. Bang, 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 bang. Rumble. In an instant, the Dog King abruptly turned around, and under the commotion of its four limbs, it directly sent all of the direct descendant elders who were attacking it flying while vomiting blood. The terrifying force of the collision caused the entire fire palace to hum. The Dog King landed safely on the ground. He raised his head, bared his teeth, and sneered at E. Why don't you keep laughing? Keep laughing. Fuck you. Weren't you laughing very happily just now? At this moment, he was completely stunned. Even his smile had stiffened. His limbs seemed to have lost all feeling. It was as though he had forgotten how to move. Who would have thought that a mere dog could be so powerful? This cough cough. Impossible he is. Wah. At the same time, the elders who were heavily injured could not even stand up. All of them clutched their chests and vomited blood. Furthermore, their auras were extremely weak. In fact, they were still losing their auras. It was as if they would soon die on the spot. Humph, you are indeed a bunch of bastards. You must return the blood of my branch clan. Suddenly, Ishu flipped her slender, jade-like hand and took out a dagger. She walked up to the direct elders and killed them one by one with her dagger. Ah, don't kill me. I was wrong. Ishu, we are from the same clan. Blood ties cannot be erased. Even if you are from a lowly branch clan, you still belong to... The cries and pleas of the many direct line elders did not make Ishu stop. Instead, it made her even angrier, and her killing methods became even more fierce and ruthless. Their throats, limbs, hearts, heads, and other body parts were all stabbed by Ishu and tortured to death. What a bunch of idiots. What time is it now? Why are you still talking about the direct descendant and the branch clan? You have indeed lived long enough. Your deaths are not in vain at all. Seeing this, the Dog King sneered disdainfully. Naturally, he did not have any sympathy for them. After all, from Ishu's cold and resentful expression, he could see that they had done something intolerable to Ishu. Plop. Seeing the elders of the direct descendant dying one by one, he first completely panicked. He knelt down in fear and kowtowed to the Dog King. Senior dog, please spare my life. Please spare my life. I was forced to do this. F***CKU. Forced to do this? Does the Prince of Dogs know what you have done? Explain yourself to me, my ass. Bang. Woo. The Dog King turned around and swung his tail. It viciously slammed into Yifir's face. With a crisp crack, Yifir's body flew backward like a cannonball. Cough, cough. I was really... Woo. I was forced to do this. Ishu, you have to believe me. Yifir's body was in extreme pain. Even so, he did not have the time to care about his injuries. This was because he knew that if he did not obtain Ishu's forgiveness, he would definitely die here. Forced to do this? Even now, you're still lying? Damn beast. Swoosh. Puff. Suddenly, Ishu walked over quickly. She raised her slender hand and waved the dagger. She stabbed it into Yifir's eyes. The intense pain caused Yifir to roll back and forth on the ground as if he had gone mad. It was extremely miserable. Didn't you want to F***CK me just now? Why don't you do it? Come on. Puff. Puff puff. The crazy Ishu's face was ashen. She kept waving the dagger and stabbing it into Yifir's body. Blood spurted out continuously. The scene was extremely bloody and terrifying. I don't dare. I won't. No. Puff. Puff. You can F***CK your mother. Plop. With Ishu's last stab, Yifir's head was split into two. He died on the spot. Looking at the entire hall, all the elders of the direct line of descent had fallen. The thick smell of blood was extremely pungent. However, in Ishu's eyes, it was like a good medicine that cleansed her angry soul. What's going on? What made you F***CK me? You didn't F***CK me? What the hell? At the same time, Wang Kai's voice came from outside. After a series of footsteps, he stepped into the hall. He could not help but pinch his nose as he looked at the miserable situation inside. He was a little stunned. Woof, woof, woof. The Prince of Dogs doesn't know either. However, she asked me to help kill these people. Oh no, it wasn't the Prince of Dogs who killed them. The Prince of Dogs only beat them until they couldn't move, the Dog King said with a grin. For a moment, he was not sure if Wang Kai would punish him for killing people indiscriminately. What's the difference between this and killing people? Wang Kai shrugged when he heard this and said with a rather speechless expression, they deserve to be killed. The Dog King shook his tail a few times and did not say anything else. However, Ishu shouted with a cold expression. Chapter 1045. Should be killed? Wang Kai's expression froze when he heard this. He really did not know what had happened just now. However, looking at Ishu's appearance, he had some guesses in his heart. They wanted to have sex with you just now? You didn't agree, and the Dog King happened to be here. So you asked the Dog King to kill them for you? In the end, you even shouted and asked the people you were about to kill to have sex with you? Is that what happened? Wang Kai frowned and asked in surprise. Ishu's face darkened and black lines appeared on her forehead. What did he mean by she didn't agree? What did he mean by asking them to have sex with her? How did he talk like that? Woof, woof, woof. That's what the Prince of Dogs saw. Master's really smart. The Prince of Dogs admires you. The Dog King wagged his tail and said in a fawning manner, oh, they should be killed. They even wanted to have sex with Ben Sheo's woman. Who else should die? Wang Kai shrugged and smiled calmly. Although Wang Kai knew very well that there must be something else going on, looking at Ishu's expression, it wouldn't be good to ask for more details. He might as well go with the flow and win a good impression. Sure enough, Wang Kai's guess was right. After hearing this, Ishu's expression became much better. She pursed her red lips and looked a little shy. She didn't refute Wang Kai like before. Hee, looks like the Prince of Dogs made the right bet. This Ishu is indeed enlightened. She's prepared to throw herself at Master. Fire Xinyuan spirit, just you wait. The Prince of Dogs will beat you up soon. The Dog King grinned and thought proudly. Once Ishu had Wang Kai completely under her control, who would dare to act tough with her backing? Thinking of this, the Dog King became even happier. He couldn't wait to teach the Fire Xinyuan a lesson right now. However, he was very clear that the current Ishu and Wang Kai had not reached that stage yet. Master, Where is the fire Xinyuan spirit? Could it be that after beating up the Prince of Dogs, it got scared and ran away? The Dog King raised its head and said proudly, "Whoosh." Hearing this, the corners of Wang Kai's mouth twitched. He couldn't help but rub his nose, feeling speechless. Previously, flaming Xinyuan Ling had given the Dog King a good beating. That scene was still replaying clearly in his mind. Originally, he thought that the Dog King would be more obedient. Who knew that when the fire Xinyuan Ling didn't appear, he would start acting tough? Aren't you afraid that he will suddenly appear and beat you up again? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled playfully. Hearing this, the Dog King's expression froze. He subconsciously scanned his surroundings. When he saw that the fire Xinyuan Ling was not around, he secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Right now, he couldn't do anything to the fire Xinyuan Ling. If he were to be beaten up again, it would be a great injustice. However, the Dog King was also very clear that he was to blame for being beaten up. If he hadn't casually made up words to insult Wang Kai wouldn't have let him be beaten up. The people you killed were probably the strongest in the Yi clan, right? After losing them, can the Yi clan continue to survive? Wang Kai asked with a calm smile with his hands behind his back. Whoosh! Ishu glanced at the corpses in disdain when she heard this. She turned around and walked to Wang Kai's side. She lifted her slender hand and pulled Wang Kai's arm. She shook it gently and said, "Don't you know how to help me? I said that I would never leave your side. Even at night, I will follow you." F***CK. Seeing Ishu like this, Wang Kai was stunned. The Dog King couldn't help but curse in his heart. He never thought that Ishu would have such a side to her. Previously, he didn't see this side of her at all. Looks like the Prince of Dogs won't be too far away. Haha, this Ishu is indeed very flirtatious. Fire Xinyuan spirit, just wait for the Prince of Dogs to give you a good beating. The Dog King thought to himself with a cold smile. Why are you so flirtatious? You're so despicable. Wang Kai rubbed his nose. He had goosebumps all over his body. He was speechless at Ishu's antics. Flirtatious whoosh. Hearing this, Ishu frowned. She wanted to vent her anger on Wang Kai, but thinking about the situation now, she knew that it wasn't time yet. Helpless, Ishu could only endure her embarrassment and anger. She smiled like a flower and said, "I only treat you like this. Don't you like it? Pat her." As soon as she finished speaking, Ishu had already pressed herself against Wang Kai's body. Furthermore, one of her slender, jade-like hands was slowly moving downwards, finally pressing against Wang Kai's crotch. Hiss hiss. This situation caused Wang Kai to suck in a breath of cold air. He was shocked by Ishu's openness and the sudden change. Although it was very strange, Wang Kai couldn't help but admit that he really liked this kind of thing. Ahem, seeing that you admire Ben Shao so much, I'll flip your sign tonight. It's your honor. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled calmly. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 20,000 experience points and 200 bragging points. Ew. Ishu pursed her red lips when she heard this. Even though she knew very well that she needed to do everything she could to please Wang Kai, she still felt very indignant that he was bragging so frivolously. But thinking about the future of the Yi family and her own safety, it's my honor. I'll definitely satisfy you tonight, Ishu said with a forced smile. However, her jade-like hand could not help but fiercely pinch that thing. F***CK. Under the pain, Wang Kai immediately clenched his teeth and glared at Ishu with an annoyed expression. Then, he reached out and viciously pinched her. What are you doing? Do you know that it hurts? Ishu clutched her chest and took a few steps back with a pale face. Wang Kai's pinch was really painful. What's wrong? You don't seem to be willing? Wang Kai frowned and looked at her with a playful smile. Whoosh! Seeing this, Ishu immediately calmed down. Her chest rose and fell violently a few times before she forced a smile and said, I'm willing. I'm willing. What do you mean by you're willing? Add the word I as well. That sounds flirtatious. Flirtatious. Ben Shao likes it. Ha ha. Wang Kai shrugged and laughed heartily. Crack. Ishu gritted her teeth and forced a smile. She looked at him affectionately. Damn Wang Kai, just you wait. I'll definitely make you beg for mercy tonight. Ishu pursed her red lips and laughed coldly in her heart. Chapter 1046. In the Fiery Sea region, it was still bright even though it was already late at night. In a huge palace, Wang Kai and Ishu were both naked as they engaged in an earth-shattering scene. Bastard, what are you doing? This is already the 4th time. Are you trying to take my life? F***CK. Didn't you say you were going to teach Ben Shao a lesson tonight? Why aren't you arrogant now? Are you scared? Smack. You'd *MN bastard. I can't take it anymore. It's been 8 hours. When are you going to spit out milk? Spit out your head. If Ben Shao isn't happy tonight, you won't be able to sleep. Bang bang. Following the loud noise, the entire palace began to tremble. In the end, the entire palace began to sway slightly. Outside the palace, the Dog King, the invisible giant, and the fire Xinyuan spirit were all stunned as they stared at the shaking palace. Woof woof woof. F***CK. Is Master that awesome? He can cause such a huge commotion just by doing something? BZZT, BZZT, BZZT. This is the most powerful human I've ever seen. Is it really that satisfying? Why is that lady barking so loudly? It sounds so mushy. Woof woof woof. What do you know? When you succeed in transforming, the Prince of Dogs will take you to have some fun. You'll definitely feel good. BZZT, 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 BZ. Why would I need you to take me to have fun? With my power, I can get any kind of beauty I want. Woof woof woof. F***CK. You're pretty good at acting tough. When you transform, if you have the ability, the Prince of Dogs will call you Big Brother. I'll call you Brother Fire. BZT, BZT. It's a deal? Woof woof woof. Of course. What's there to worship? If it were me, I would be able to shake the earth and the mountains when I do things. Just this small palace would be easily destroyed. When the invisible giant saw the Dog King and the fire Xinyuan spirit chattering away with a look of worship on their faces, it immediately shook its head and expressed its stance. Hearing these words, regardless of whether it was the Dog King or the Fire Saint Yuan spirit, they were all stunned. They racked their brains, but were unable to think of a single word to refute the invisible giant. He really did have the ability to do so. Although the Fire Xinyuan spirit had never seen it before, it knew that the giant Xinyuan clan was huge in size. Just by imagining, it could guess that when it did something, it would definitely be earth-shattering. As for the Dog King, they had all seen it with their own eyes. There was no need to even think about it. Can Master be like you? How big are you? That thing of yours can crush a mountain. Are you even on the same level? How come after following Master for so long, you dare to brag about everything? The Dog King said, a little speechless. BZT, 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 BZT. Dog King, why don't you try it out and let me see? If you're powerful enough to defeat this giant, I'll wholeheartedly acknowledge you as my brother dog. The Fire Xinyuan spirit suddenly suggested curiously. F***CK. Don't you differentiate between men and women? We are all men. Why? I is so disgusting. Scram. The Dog King's mouth twitched. In the end, he was so disgusted that he lay on the ground. He wanted to vomit, but nothing came out. Differentiate between men and women? No, I know the difference between men and women. Master is a man, and the woman is a woman. You are the immortal spirit of heaven and earth, and can change your gender at will. Can't you? The Fire Xinyuan spirit said, confused. Changing gender at will. Hearing this, the Dog King's body suddenly trembled. He naturally knew about this, but if he became a woman, wouldn't it be very boring? Moreover, in the Dog King's opinion, being a man was more enjoyable. Oh right, when you transform, you could transform into a woman. When the time comes, the Prince of Dogs will teach you how to have fun with the big guy. He. The Dog King winked and grinned. BZZT, 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 BZZT. Scram, even if I become a woman, I will only have fun with Master. Why'd I need you to teach me? I will not do anything with this big idiot. The Fire Xingyuan spirit sneered disdainfully. Only have fun with Master. The Dog King was stunned for a long time. He suddenly had a bad feeling. After all, the Fire Xingyuan spirit seemed to have the intention of transforming into a woman. As a true spirit of heaven and earth, the Dog King knew very well that once the Fire Xingyuan spirit transformed into a woman, her appearance and temperament would definitely be peerless. Even Ishu would not be able to compare. Moreover, as he transformed into a woman, his personality and way of doing things would automatically undergo a tremendous change. When the time came, if he really won Master's favor, then wouldn't all his efforts to please Ishu be for naught? How would he beat up the Fire Xingyuan spirit in the future and get back at Master? No, I must instill the idea that being a man is a good thing. Otherwise, the Prince of Dogs is doomed. Thinking of this, the Dog King wagged his tail and came in front of the Fire Xingyuan spirit. He said in an extremely serious tone, "Little Fire, you should transform into a man. Only men can experience true happiness. Moreover, they will always receive much more than women. BZZT, BZZT. What are you afraid of? If it doesn't work, then I can just transform back into a man. Wouldn't that be fine? Moreover, from the way the woman is moaning, she seems to be very comfortable. She hasn't even called me Master before." The Fire Xingyuan spirit said calmly. The Dog King was speechless when he heard this. He said helplessly, "Master is very comfortable. She doesn't have the energy to moan. Do you understand? Don't try to fool me." When you transform into the Dog King, your personality and preferences will all develop towards that of a man. Therefore, you won't know the good things about women. You still want to fool me? Dream on. The Fire Xingyuan spirit said disdainfully. You speak as if you've transformed into a woman before. Moreover, you said very clearly just now that once you transform into a woman, your personality will develop towards that of a woman. When that time comes, it will be impossible for you to transform back into a man. You will resist it. The Dog King advised patiently. Hearing this, the Fire Xingyuan spirit fell silent. For a moment, it didn't know what to do. It had been tricked by the Dog King. That's why I said that you should know how to enjoy the good things about men. How about this? Tomorrow morning, the Prince of Dogs will take you for a walk. You will know what a real man is. The Dog King thought for a moment and smiled confidently. Ah, woo. Faster, faster. Woo. Suddenly, before the Fire Xingyuan spirit could say anything, Ishu's voice came from within the palace. The Fire Xingyuan spirit immediately made up its mind when it heard this voice. It said calmly, "I should consider transforming into a woman. Look at how comfortable she is moaning." Aya F *CK. Hearing this, black lines appeared on the Dog King's forehead. In his anger, he could only lie on the ground gloomily. There was nothing he could do about the Fire Xingyuan spirit. Chapter 1047. The next day, when Wang Kai walked out with a beaming face, he saw that the Dog King, the invisible giant, and the Fire Xingyuan spirit were all waiting outside, watching him anxiously. Such a situation caused Wang Kai to frown slightly, feeling rather speechless in his heart. Could this be the legendary Walls Have Ears? Furthermore, they were listening so brazenly. What are you doing here? Don't you feel suffocated after listening for so long? Wang Kai frowned and stretched his back with a helpless expression. Suffocated? When they heard this, the Dog King and the invisible giant looked at each other. They did not feel much. After following Wang Kai for a long time, they would get used to it. The Fire Xingyuan spirit, on the other hand, did not know what it felt. In any case, when it saw Wang Kai come out, it flew over. "Master, when I transform, do you think it would be good for me to transform into a woman? I will definitely be very beautiful." The Fire Xingyuan spirit chirped. Transform into a woman. Due to the fact that the Fire Saint Yuan Ling had already recognized him as its master, Wang Kai naturally understood the words of the Fire Saint Yuan Ling. However, It was precisely because of this that he was slightly startled. He looked at him in surprise and asked in a puzzled manner, "What do you mean? Don't tell me you can transform into a woman?" Wang Kai had never heard of such a thing. "Of course I can. Furthermore, with this Holy Spirit's aptitude, after I transform, I will definitely become a peerless beauty. I will definitely be much prettier than the woman you played with last night." "Oh no, it's much prettier," the fire Xingyuan spirit said confidently. When he heard this, Wang Kai could not help but rub his nose. For a moment, he was extremely speechless. As a holy spirit, being able to transform into a woman when transforming, this was the first time he had heard of such a thing. "Master, it's best not to encourage it. It wants to seduce you after transforming into a woman and have sex with you at night. That's disgusting. Look at it now. Does it even have the standard of a woman?" The Dog King secretly transmitted a message. What? When he heard this message, Wang Kai's expression changed. He stared blankly at the fire Xingyuan spirit. He was unwilling to believe that it had actually set its sights on him. No wonder it asked him. It was premeditated. Wait, something is wrong. Since it can choose its gender after it transforms, what is it now? Is it neither a man nor a woman? Wang Kai frowned and secretly transmitted a message. That's right. It's a hermaphrodite. It can be male or female. Master, you have to be careful. Think about how disgusting it will be if it chooses to become a woman, right? The Dog King grinned and secretly transmitted a message. It is indeed a little disgusting. In this regard, Wang Kai also expressed extreme agreement. If the Fire Saint's Yuan spirit had been female from the beginning, then it would have been better. But now, it was an yin-yang person that was neither male nor female. Once it completely turned into a female, the matter of his yin-yang person would often become a knot in his heart. The feeling of dissonance was really too strong. Wang Kai admitted that he could not stand it. However, Wang Kai was also a little hesitant. He had seen countless beautiful women, but he had not seen a single beautiful woman among the holy spirits. Moreover, after hearing the fire Xingyuan spirits boasting, he really wanted to take a look. Damn, Master, you don't really want it to become a woman, do you? Why do you look like you're really looking forward to it? The Dog King asked in a daze. Wang Kai grinned when he heard this and said with a helpless expression, "Let him choose what he wants to become. What's more, this young master really wants to see what he looks like after he turns into a woman, but you can rest assured that no matter how peerless his appearance is, this young master will not be tempted." Congratulations to the host for successfully boasting. You've received 20,000 experience points and 200 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 4th stage of the Great Sage Realm. Are you lying to a dog? In this regard, the Dog King was extremely disdainful. With Wang Kai's personality, he would definitely not be able to control himself when he saw a beautiful woman with a peerless appearance and an otherworldly temperament. Moreover, once the fire Xingyuan spirit became like that, it would immediately choose to throw itself at him. How could Wang Kai not eat such a piece of meat that was delivered to his doorstep? Damn it, looks like my plan to take revenge on the fire Xingyuan spirit is going to fail. Helpless, the Dog King could only sigh in his heart. Master, is the Dog King saying something bad about me behind my back? Seeing that Wang Kai and the Dog King were both silent and their expressions were constantly changing, the fire Xingyuan spirit suddenly had a bad premonition. Even when it looked at the Dog King, there was a thick chill in its eyes. Woof, woof, woof. Don't you go too far. Otherwise, the Prince of Dogs will take you down with me, even if I have to risk my life. The Dog King, who was still wallowing in sorrow, threw caution to the wind. Since he could not get back at Fang Jingji, he might as well turn hostile. At worst, he would be beaten up again. In short, the Dog King believed that as a Dog King, he could not lower his head. All right, the two of you have to get along well. Okay? If you have the ability, go to all the large gambling dens in the Divine Stone realm and bring all the precious spirit quenching stones to Ben Shao. Wang Kai shrugged and waved his hand helplessly. Whoosh. As soon as he said that, both the fire Xingyuan spirit and the Dog King immediately lost their temper. In fact, as sacred spirits and true spirits of heaven and earth, they were afraid of stone gambling masters. Although the fire Xinyuan spirit was stronger, there were still one or two stone gambling masters in the divine stone realm who could deal with it. Although they could not completely suppress it, they would at least bring about big trouble. As for the Dog King, there were simply too many stone gambling masters in the divine stone realm who could deal with it. It would not be an exaggeration to say that there were 100 stone gambling masters who could deal with the Dog King. I'm willing. If I win, does that mean I'll be the boss and he'll be the second boss? He'll have to listen to the Prince of Dogs for everything? Suddenly, Wang Kai, who thought that he would finally be able to calm down, heard the Dog King raise its head and shout loudly. Seeing this, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows slightly. He could not help but be surprised. He did not expect the Dog King to have the guts to do so. Did he not know that if he went to a gambling den, he could easily be suppressed there? As for the fire Xinyuan spirit, even if one or two stone gambling masters could not defeat it, they could still easily retreat. Wasn't this just asking to lose? If the Dog King wants to compete, I will definitely not admit defeat. Master, you set the rules. I agree. The fire Xinyuan spirit snorted disdainfully. In response, the Dog King sneered and wagged his tail. He could not be bothered with it. Let's not go. Wouldn't it be bad if one of them got injured? If that happened, Bin Xiao would have to clean up your mess. Wang Kai waved his hand and said impatiently. Chapter 1048. Woof, woof, woof. Master, don't worry. This Dog King's strength is absolutely awesome. It's enough. In this small, chaotic realm, there are not many people who can defeat the Prince of Dogs. The Dog King sneered arrogantly. As he spoke, he did not forget to give the fire Xingyuan spirit a provocative look. The fire Xingyuan spirit was not to be outdone. It was already more powerful than the Dog King, and, as a holy spirit, the stonemason was not much of a threat. Since that was the case, why would it be afraid of the Dog King? I'm not afraid either. If even a stupid dog can do it, it's naturally easier for me. Master, you set the rules. The fire Xingyuan's spirit said calmly. Master, I think we should let them compete, but I'll have to join too. The invisible giant suddenly said, scratching its head. Swoosh! Wang Kai was stunned. The Dog King and the fire Xingyuan spirit were also stunned. Woof, woof, woof. Big guy, are you here to help your brother dog? The Dog King's eyes widened as he exclaimed in surprise. If you want to help, you should help me. I can give you a lot of treasures. The fire Xingyuan's spirit said calmly. However, the invisible giant's words stunned the Dog King and the fire Xingyuan spirit. I want to be the boss too, The invisible giant scratched its head and grinned. F***CK. After hearing these words, even Wang Kai could not help but curse out loud. The Dog King and the fire Xingyuan spirit were shocked speechless. No one would have thought that the invisible giant would be so ambitious. He wanted to be the boss too. Big guy, have you forgotten how good the Prince of Dogs is? The Dog King said sadly. Brother Go, I want to be the boss too. However, even if I win, I will still call you Brother Go. The invisible giant chuckled. He was also very confident. Hearing this, the Dog King was furious. Hearing the invisible giant's words, it was as if he was sure to win. As for calling him Brother Go after he became the boss, what was the use of that? In the end, wasn't he still the second or third brother? The Dog King could not tolerate something like this. Big guy, it seems like you're really getting carried away. You even want to snatch the position of the leader of the Prince of Dogs? The Dog King's face darkened as he snorted in displeasure. However, the invisible giant did not care about this at all, as if he did not understand. He continued to say honestly, Brother Go, I've never been the boss before. This time, I want to have a taste of it. Just let me win. Okay, Brother Go. Brother Go. Hearing this, the Dog King trembled. He was as angry as he could be. However, the invisible giant's honest attitude made the Dog King unable to vent his anger. He was filled with grief and indignation. After all, he kept calling him Brother Go. As the saying goes, one does not hit a smiling person. Brother Fire, oh no, the future beauty sister Fire, help me out too. Let me win, okay? In the future, I'll help you too. The invisible giant scratched his head and looked at the Fire Xingyuan spirit. Hearing this, the Fire Xingyuan spirit, who was originally disdainful, suddenly felt better. She even felt a little shy. She had originally planned to transform into a beauty. Now that she heard the invisible giant's support and praise, as well as the hint that he would help her in the future, she was indeed a little tempted. Why don't I help him? As long as the Dog King is not the boss, it doesn't matter who it is. Moreover, after he becomes the boss, I can ask him to help me get Master onto the bed, right? At that time, as Master's wife, I can't easily lay a hand on the Dog King, but I can secretly let the invisible giant deal with the Dog King. I'm really too smart. At the end of her thoughts, the Fire Xingyuan spirit was suddenly enlightened. She said to the invisible giant, "Okay, I've decided to help you. I'll let you be the boss. As for Brother Six, you'll always be the second." Whoosh! As soon as she said this, the invisible giant was overjoyed. He repeatedly thanked the Fire Xingyuan spirit and finally ran to stand beside the Fire Xingyuan spirit. It directly became a 2-on-1 situation. This situation made the Dog King extremely shocked. He never thought that things would develop to this point. In the end, he was no longer a dog, and he was even isolated. What the hell? The Dog King's head was full of question marks. The anger in his heart grew stronger. No, what did you just say? He's the boss, and the Prince of Dogs is the second? What about you? Third in line? If that's the case, then the Prince of Dogs feels that there's no need to compete anymore. It's settled. Big Guy is the boss, and the Prince of Dogs is the second. You're the third. Listen to the Prince of Dogs. In the future, call the Prince of Dogs Brother Ergo. The Dog King laughed proudly. Whoosh! Hearing this, the Fire Xingyuan spirit immediately sneered unhappily. This sage is not the third. As for who I am, you'll find out sooner or later. Scram! Second. Ergo. Not the third. Then you're the third party? The Dog King's eyes widened as he said in shock. Third party. As soon as he said this, the Fire Xingyuan's spirit fell silent. If they were talking about the third party, then his plan was really the third party. For a moment, he didn't know how to answer. Which third party? Wang Kai, who was at the side, couldn't help but touch his nose. He was secretly surprised. For a moment, he didn't know what they were talking about. No matter if you're the third party or the third party, you'll always be ranked behind the Prince of Dogs. Since that's the case, let's compete. I'll let you lose completely. The Dog King snorted disdainfully. Let's compete. Stupid dog. The Fire Xingyuan spirit was extremely disdainful. Naturally, he could tell that the Dog King had completely misunderstood his intentions. However, this misunderstanding was good. At least he didn't know his true intentions. After all, with this dog around, nothing good would come out of it. If he were to mess things up again, then the gains wouldn't make up for the losses. Forget it. Since you want to compete, then Ben Xiao will set the rules. I'll give you 1 day and 1 night. When you return tomorrow, whoever brings back the most holy spirit stones will be the boss. Wang Kai had no choice but to wave his hand and let them go. All right, it's settled then. The Prince of Dogs is going. You'll be the third party. Idiot. Whoosh! After the Dog King cursed, he rolled up the black fog and stepped into the air. Bastard. Big Guy, let's go. Listen to this holy spirit. When the time comes, you'll definitely be the boss. The Fire Xingyuan's spirit snorted in annoyance. Immediately after, it shot out flames and swept the invisible giant up as it stepped into the air and left. Looking in the direction they went, Wang Kai couldn't help but grin and sigh. F***CK. After all this time, the smartest one is still the invisible giant. He completely grasped the thoughts of the two of them extremely accurately. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.